What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 18 of This is Boston Baseball Podcast, brought to you by B Clutch Sportswear. I'm Dan Field, and up here is my co-host, Mr. Omar Ortiz. Welcome.
What's going on, world?
What is up, buddy?
We're here.
We are here, and unfortunately, we have some sad news to start the show. Today, we learned the passing of one of our baseball brothers, Jorge Aquino. Jorge co-owned and played for the JM Force Baseball Club in the BMBL, leading them to back-to-back championships 2012, 2013, including the only perfect season in BMBL history with a record of 29-0. He was a proud member of the three-time champion South Shore Giants, and me having played a season with them, I know that they're a very close-knit family, and he will be missed. And before we get this episode started, I just wanted to have a quick moment of silence in Jorge's honor. Thank you, guys. So, yeah, I mean, that was terrible news to hear. And obviously, they lost another teammate a couple years ago, Elvin Bautista. So, a run of bad luck over there. Yeah.
My condolences to the Aquino family.
Definitely.
The last couple of years, I've gotten close to Jose, Carlos. Jeter's one of my close friends. To hear the news, you know, like I told you offline, when last week we had our league meeting, and when I got the call, they said, I thought it was Jose, and my heart dropped, you know, and because I know Jose very well. I know his dad, you know. I never met his brother, but it's still the same pain because it hit our family, you know, it hit our community, you know, and I want to, you know, my condolences to the family, you know. You're in my prayers, you know. Losing a family member is tough, you know, and just know if you guys are watching, I'm just a phone call away for whatever you guys need.
Yeah, they've had a tough string of luck these past couple of years. Elvin Bautista passed away a couple years ago. But we're gonna change the mood, and we're gonna switch.
Yeah, you got me all emotional.
I know.
You know what? Cut the cameras. Cut the cameras.
I think
I'm done.
we had enough emotion in the last episode.
You know what it is that I feel like the more you play baseball and you meet people, and like this is what brings us together, you know. And when someone loses a family member or a teammate or someone in our baseball community, you know, it hits us, you know. And I hope people understand that this is just a game, you know. And a lot of the times I see people take things personal, and just at the end of it is a game, and this should be a brotherhood. You feel me? A healthy competition, you know. But at the end of the day, we all bleed the same, and we all should be there for each other, you know. Especially during the tough times, it's easy to be there for people when they're on top, you know. During the tough times, that shows who you really are.
Yep. I mean, he was just 48 years old. It's awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, he ran that JM Force team for a couple of years. I mean, they were nasty. 20.
Yeah, that was a good team.
They were a great team.
Yeah,
But yes, our condolences go out to the Aquino family. Yes, very sorry for your loss.
Absolutely.
You might have to name another award. One of your awards, which I know you want to talk about these recent awards.
That's a good transition, Daniel.
Bring
good job.
Bring it to positive.
Good job. Good. You know what? Thumbs up. Is it gonna do the thing?
I didn't
do it.
It didn't.
All right, do it. Of course it's not. But
only when you want to do it. It never.
Only when you want to do it.
Yeah.
But you know, the awards, I felt like, and the guy from the Braves in the Park League or Yawkey League, he said that it was unearned or whatever he said. At the end of the day, it's like, mind your business. You know, at the end of the day, like, you know what? I've been politically correct, but I'm tired of ignorant people. Mind your business. If someone is giving another person flowers who deserve to get it because two of them are one of the best players to ever play this game that we've seen in these Boston fields, and no one can tell me different. Darwin Hernandez, oh my God, that man would steal a base, hit a home run, take a walk, dive for a play, throw you out at home, tell you what pitch to hit. Like if it's six tools, he got it. You know, and you got a guy like Yoki. Yoki was one of the top prospects for the Red Sox organization.
Yep.
If it wasn't for an injury, he'd probably be on TV. So why you hating?
Well, I think people are used to awards being named after people after they've deceased.
That's
But
the thing of the past.
this is amateur baseball. It's a little different.
Stop it.
Yeah.
It's about time people get recognition in this because it's not easy. But you got those guys. Bro, Darwin got into a horrific car accident doing his job.
Yeah.
And he's still playing baseball.
And he's still mashing.
And smashing the shit out of the ball. So those guys deserve the flowers, you know. I get it. Some of you guys don't think ahead. But sometimes you gotta appreciate the people that you compete against. And you play with. You know, I make sure all my guys know how great they are. You know, because it's not easy working 9 to 5 and then going to a ball game and performing. It's not easy. You know what I'm saying? And then to do it for 17 years, 18 years, you got to give these guys their flowers. Like, I get it. If these pitchers and these hitters, they were 3 years in, but you're talking about 18, 17 years. You're talking about almost 2 decades. These guys deserve it. And no one else is giving these guys their flowers. And we got to give it to them, bro. You know how much of an honor that is? Oh, you got a trophy named after you. So when you're gone, that trophy is going to live your legacy for the rest of eternity. So
right.
Stop hating.
I'll never forget. So I got to be teammates with Darwin last year for the first time on the Babel 45s. A great teammate, but I'll never forget. There was one All-Star game. He hit the ball so hard at Glacier Park, it literally hit the wall and almost bounced back into the infield. Like, I'll never forget. I mean, he's hit some missiles.
Bro,
I'll never forget that.
We played against him in the Cape, right? And I'm playing first base. He got walked. The pitcher throws it over my head. By the time I got the ball, he was at third base already.
Yep.
Bro, and then so he scored the next play. Then the next at bat, he beat us with a home run. And then the next inning where we're gonna play, we got the bases low, and we lose.
Yeah.
So he beat us in every aspect that one game, and you don't really see that, you know. And that man, one of the guys sent a comment, and he was like, "Darwin is proof that not every man gets to go pro." Like something like that. Like they missed that. They missed that man. Like that man should have been pro. He's pro material, bro. And you know, and I see him all the time at these tournaments. When I go to Florida, Myrtle Beach, I always see him. And he always shows me love. And everyone around him is always showing him love because they know how great he is. And then you got to appreciate greatness, man.
He's one of the best.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that accident, I think we talked about it in other episodes, you know, for him to lose. Because, I mean, he was known for his speed, power.
Yeah.
Nobody could throw him out. And I think I mentioned there was one time I got lucky, threw him out, and he looked back, and he was like in shock. And I probably was in shock, too, that I actually threw him out because he did not get thrown out very often. But yeah, the whole accident was very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But you would never know. Talking to him, you would never know that, you know, it happened to him.
That's why I didn't mention it in the post or nothing, because to me that's more personal stuff, you know, and it takes away from his greatness. We don't need pity. Thank God he's survived, and you know, but that shouldn't define that man. That man was a monster, you know, and he's a legend out here, and he's one of the best human beings I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a good person, bro, and no matter where I see him, he shows me love, and he loves the game so much. And that's rare to see a player so great that really loves the game, man. A lot of these guys that are great, they don't really love the game like that. So to watch him after that horrific accident bro, that touches me in every aspect of my life, bro. And that man deserved to be named that award, you know. And to some people, oh, it doesn't. No, to me it matters, and to us it matters because a lot of love came our way when people saw that, because he deserves it. If
Yep.
anybody deserves it, Darwin deserves it.
Yep. Yeah, we got to get him on the show for his own
Yeah,
episode.
yeah, he's a little shy, but
We'll
I'm
open him up.
a,
We'll open him
we're gonna have to do it in Spanish.
But speaking of awards, our guest this week is Branden Anderson. I know he's won a number of championships. He's the general manager of the Boston Expos in the BMBL and Intercity. Shall we bring in our special guest for this
Let's do
week?
it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the
We gotta
show,
change that. We gotta change that. No, man.
Mr. Branden Anderson. Welcome, buddy.
Damn.
Hey, what's going on, guys? What's up? What's up?
What's
Good.
up? What's up? Thanks for being on the show, buddy.
Thanks
You
for
gotta
having
put
me.
put those shades on.
I'll throw them on for a minute, but I'm not.
For a minute.
One, I'm not
Oh,
much
but
of
you
a
can't
shade
see.
guy, and two, I couldn't even see myself doing it before it got on, and I don't like not being able to see myself. So
You know,
for a minute, you guys, to show you some
you look,
respect.
yeah, I mean, you look beautiful.
Well,
But if
when
you-
you get
if-
a bald head and stuff, sunglasses don't really stay on you too well. So like they always fall off my head often
Ah.
and stuff like that. So
I know
and
that
I
very
feel like
well.
it's too much of an old man thing to get one of those straps like for around your neck, even if you get like a sporty one. So it normally doesn't work out. Like these ones, like these are actually pretty nice sunglasses. When I bought them, a handful of years ago, they were, I don't know, $1.75 or something like that.
I was about to say, it looks like the shit you buy at mobile gas station, bro.
Nah, they're not that cheap. They probably cost me, if I remember, like around $150 or something like that. And as soon as I left the store, walking out, realized my shoe was untied, bent over to untie them, and they fell right off my head, and they got a nice little scratch right across the lens. And
Awesome.
I was like, yep, that's the whole reason why I don't
you
buy
can't
these
see
things.
shit
Like,
right now.
And then the problem is when you drop them once, they're fucked.
yeah, exactly. So it was a waste. Right there, I'm like, yeah, I just wasted 30 seconds ago. Within 30 seconds, I wasted $150 or whatever it was.
Nice.
If I would buy sunglasses at like $5 from like CVS,
I
gas
lose
station.
mine. I lose my sunglasses all the time. So
Dan,
I
you
won't-
brought some nice Oakleys, Dan. I see
Oh
you.
no, those were Zach.
Oh, you
My
borrowed
buddy
them?
Zach's. Yeah,
Oh.
I borrowed them just for the show.
I fucking knew it. I'm like, yo, those glasses are nice. I'm like, there's no way Daniel purchased those. There's no way.
Nope. But Branden, please tell the people about yourself. Introduce yourself.
yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to tell. I'm not anything special, but born and raised in Lowell. Grew up there for a long time. Went to high school there and stuff like that. Played my baseball at Greater Lowell for high school. Played a few years at Bunker Hill in Boston. I was actually overlapped for a year with Johnny Mack, who I know was on this show, and I played against him in high school as well because he went to Shawshene Tech. And then, threw my shoulder out, had labrum surgery, completely tore my labrum and partial rotator cuff, and from that point on, really never stood a chance of going any further at any level, even if I even had a chance to begin with. But then I kind of fell into the Hockey League with the East Boston Knights because my dad worked with Eric
Rest in
Bellavia at
peace.
the railroad. Thank you. So they worked together at the railroad, and Eric, would talk to my dad. My dad's a friendly person, and he always talk about me and baseball and stuff like that. And so for a couple of years, when they were starting up their program, they were always trying to get him to, hey, can you talk to your son to come play for us? And I was still technically in college. I went to a different summer league my last year, right before I got hurt, out in Kentucky. Was playing out there for the summer, and then that's kind of when I figured out my shoulder was kind of going junk because I was losing a lot of velocity. And so I came back home at the end of the summer, got checked out, figured out I had the labrum and everything gone, had surgery that September, and then just throughout that off season, getting ready and stuff like that, Eric finally got through to my dad. He caught me at his work one day when I stopped by. We talked. I went to a few practices, and then the rest was history. And I ended up playing for the Knights that upcoming year, and then played with them. I mean, I was 2011 through when Eric stepped away, and I transformed it into the Expos. It was 2019 was the last summer, so 9 years or whatever it was, playing there in the Hockey League under Eric and with the Knights. And so that's kind of where I spent the majority of the rest of my career, was just throwing in the summer leagues until my arm was going to fall off officially again and not be able to do it, because it was still fun. I could still compete, and made a lot of good friends. It was local, so it kind of worked out. And that's where some of my best friends come from now. So that's kind of brief story. I mean, like I said, nothing special. I'm just a guy who loves baseball, competitive guy, and so anywhere I could play baseball, I was open to it.
Well, you're special to us, okay. But do you play with Omar on the night? Did you guys play together on that team?
Yeah, a couple years early on, and then when he went and played on some different teams, and then there was, I think, another year, maybe 20, I don't know, 15, 16, somewhere around there. I think he hopped back on maybe for another year or something like that. So yeah, we had a maybe total 2-3 years, somewhere around that we played together for.
Yeah.
Yeah, Omar, I didn't realize how many teams you played for. But I guess, like
I
me,
mean, I didn't play for a lot of teams, bro. What do you mean?
well, I
I
learned, I
played for
learned,
I played for the Knights, Astros, the White Sox, and the Havoc.
oh,
And the White Sox came from the Havoc, so technically, 3 teams in 19 years. That's good.
Yeah, and
I'm not Terrio. The
and
D
you ran
backs,
it.
the D
You
backs,
ran it.
the D backs.
D-backs, as I say, you ran the
I ran the
Diamondbacks,
D-backs. I
right?
ran the
yeah, right.
D-backs. I
That's what I
ran the
was thinking of.
D-backs
Yeah.
because I played for them, and then the manager quit that first year, and they were like, Omar, you've been in the league, you have to run the team. I'm like, what? So I had to run the team, and that's when I started managing teams in this league. And then I met Eric. I helped him out. I met Brent. You came along. I think it was 2 years after, or 2 or 3 years after when we started, and we were talking about this offline, and like we did a lot coming up. You feel me? And I feel like the Knights organization breeded you, breeded. I ain't gonna say breeded me, because I was already a part of these leagues for like 10 years when I met them. But like Eric came through too. Jeff, yourself. And a lot of people came through the Knights throughout the years, and people don't understand how legendary that franchise is. And eventually we'll get Eric on. And maybe we'll bring you back on, and we'll talk about it. Maybe Jeff too. But I'm proud to say I was a part of the Knights organization, because it was a great group of guys. And
Yeah.
Eric's my brother for life.
No, same here. I mean, he was my best man at my wedding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it got me through a lot of years when I thought, after I had my surgery and I knew I wasn't going back to school and stuff, because it wasn't going to be worth it, to try to pay all that money for school when I'm not playing baseball. That was the mindset I was in. And, I was kind of feeling maybe a little lost that I wasn't going to have baseball, that there was nothing else good around to keep playing, especially coming off an injury like that. Could I still compete? And I fell into the Knights with the Hockey League, and the rest was history. It gave me another handful of good years playing, and then a couple of not so good when my arm was kind of crap in the bed. And now it's given me another 5 or 6 years of managing / owning the team as well. So I owe a lot of gratitude to Eric and Jeff and stuff like that for bringing me aboard, and make me feel part of the family and stuff like that. And again, the rest is history. A lot of my best friends, Eric, Jose, Jeff's still a good friend. A lot of those guys, my best friends, and I all met them from playing baseball in the Hockey League. So definitely owe them a lot for that.
So, so from there, how did the Expos franchise get started?
Yeah, so I mean, our first official year, fortunately, was 2020, COVID year. So after 2019 had happened, we had a couple years in a row where, in 2017 and 2018, where after having a lot of success in a couple year period before that, and from 2012 through 2016, we were doing really well with the Knights. And then we had a couple years where we started to fall off the map again a little bit. Eric had some medical issues or whatever, concussion, stuff like that, and he wasn't able to be around as much, and that was affecting the team. No leadership, and things just kind of slowly spiraled out. And that 2019 season, Eric ended up not really being around, at all, and I was having the sprint to games last minute from Burlington to Dorchester, like an hour before the game, because I wasn't planning to be there. I wasn't the coach or anything like that. I was still just a part-time player and just liking being around the game. And but Eric would have a lot of times where he could, like, I can't be there. All of a sudden, last second, I was like, crap. All right, well, I got to shoot there. The team's got no gear, no baseballs, nothing. So it's like, all right, I feel an obligation to be there and not leave, my teammates down and out. So I'd sprint there last minute. So it was just a really bad year in 2019. Things weren't going right. We were looking also to maybe change leagues at that point to the ICL for a little bit better competition, a little bit nicer fields, a little bit more local to a lot of our guys, because most of our guys at that time were like Merrimack Valley, North Shore kind of guys, and going deep into the heart of Boston, primetime traffic was just brutal. So we were looking to come a little bit more to like the Middlesex area, North Shore area, etc. And so we were looking to change to the ICL, and Eric ultimately ended up kind of deciding, all right, maybe it's time for me to step down, and so he stepped down from owning the team, and that's kind of when I took it over, and I kind of just rebooted everything, fresh new look, fresh new league, changed the name and everything like that, and came up with the Expos. We were the Middlesex Expos, in the ICL, which was our main team that we were going to, and that's kind of what kickstarted that. And then COVID happened, so that kind of tore everything to pieces and messed everything up. ICL ended up being one of the leagues that decided to not play their season. They ended up ultimately doing like a little mini tournament type thing. But at the time when we were all talking, it was like, all right, we're not going to have a league. And so that was the last thing I knew. So last minute, I kissed some feet with the Hockey League and said, hey, things aren't going well over there. Obviously, they're not even having a league. We just want to play ball. That's the only thing we've ever really wanted to do. And so they let us back in for 2020. And we played a shortened season. I think it was like 14, 16 game regular season compared to, at that point, I think the Hockey League was playing maybe 28, 30 games, somewhere around that. So, about half-ish, of a regular season we played. And then it was somewhat of a normal playoffs. I think the finals was shortened from a best of 7 to a best of 5. But I think the rest of, the series and everything like that were normal. And so we played there, and we had a team in the cable at that year as well. And it just kind of worked out for our first year, even though it kind of sucked with COVID. It was kind of perfect because we had such great commitment. It got us off to such a great start where everybody wanted to be there. There was nothing else for anybody to do. So everybody wanted to play, even in both leagues. So even if you were like a stud, on our Hockey League team, most of those guys generally wouldn't have wanted to play in like a cable type league. One, because it was newer and they didn't know a lot about it. So, to them, it wasn't good enough. And then two, just generally, a lot of guys don't want to play full time on two teams. They maybe do part-time situations, but they wanted to play as much baseball as they could, because that was literally one of the only things you could do is, still play some sports. Everything was still kind of shut down and quiet, and people wearing masks and different things like that. So baseball was one of the things that they could, go to and have an outlet for, with no distractions, no girlfriends, no nothing. Like, they just wanted to go and play baseball. So it was awesome. So we had a great year. We went undefeated in the regular season for Yawkey. We went, again, 14, 16-0, whatever it was. And then went undefeated all the way to the finals, swept the first 2 rounds, got into the finals, won the first 2 games, was about to have a perfect season. And then we just I think we had a little bit of a letdown, kind of like, oh, here it is, this is a cakewalk, we're done, we got the championship in the bag. And we're going against a tough Charlestown team, the Townies, and so they beat us 2 consecutive games to force a game 5. We got to play a game 5 at Alumni Stadium in Lowell. Really nice field, especially in comparison to some of the fields you would be playing on in Boston and stuff like that. Really nice, well kept. And our game 4 starter, who threw or game 3 starter who threw a couple days prior a complete game, came back on like 2 or 3 days rest and threw 7 shutout innings in game 5 to win 1-0. Scott Hall, give him a little bit of a shout out. I think it was like a 3-hit 7-inning shutout to win 1-0. So
Nice.
it was crazy. Great win. So we win that in August of 2020, and then cables, kind of like the BMBL and stuff like that, as an extended season. So we go into the fall, and again we have a full team. We have college kids, that normally would be at college, but their fall seasons were all canceled and stuff like that. So we had our, top of the line pitching staff, beast hitter Andrew Mazzoni in the lineup, who is a monster. I'm sure some of you guys know him if you've been paying attention at all to all the other leagues around. He's been in Yawkey and ICL, and he's with Cable with us for a few years. Absolute beast, one of the best hitters I've ever seen. No matter how good you are, can hit any pitch, anytime, anywhere. And then David Kearns in our pitching staff. Sean Carlson, guy throwing upper 90s. Kearns throwing upper 8s, low 9s. So it was just great, and we ended up beating the Malden Marlins, who are now technically back. I think they're in the 18 plus for the BMBL this year. It was a great first year. 2020, two teams, 2 championships, and that's kind of how things kind of got started. And from there, we started to make a name for ourselves, both good and bad. Good is obviously you're winning and people start to recognize you. Bad, but also people start to get kind of testy about you because you're a winner, and everybody hates winners and wants to knock you down and find reasons to hate you and stuff like that, which is fine.
I wouldn't know anything about that, but
we're able to embrace that.
I don't know nothing about that.
No, but I have to ask, at what point did you think it was a good idea to add Mike Terrio to your roster?
He played a few games across a lot of our teams over the years, even the Knights and stuff, but I think he joined. You're probably talking about our cable team.
Yeah,
I think
the cable team.
He played anywhere else, but that was. I mean, obviously, I'm friends with Terrio and stuff too, but that was all Paul Grandy, who is technically my acting manager and stuff like that. So he obviously he's really close with Terrio and stuff like that, and
he's close to me too.
I had to bust his balls.
My best friend.
What's that?
He's close to me too. He's my best friend.
Yeah, he's not a big,
Paulie? Yeah, you
he's
guys
not
are
a big
boys.
fan. He's not a big fan.
Nah, I'm not a big fan of him.
I think you guys go on a few dates a year, don't you?
Yeah, I tried getting him on the show. He would not come on.
Nah, he's not allowed here.
He's not allowed.
He's not allowed nowhere. You can keep him.
I will. He's my Lord Savior Jesus Christ. That's who he is. That's who he is to me.
He's far from Jesus Christ, bro. Stop it.
Yeah, to me he is. He's my savior, man. You guys can have your differences, and that's fine. I don't know what all those differences are, but
I was going to ask.
For me, he's my savior. He's my acting manager for a lot of my teams throughout the years, because I can't be at every single game. I got 3 young kids. Sometimes even if I can be there, it's going to be last minute, and obviously that's no way to run a team, showing up last minute. So him being there every game, not really missing games except when he's sick or something like that. To me, that's as close as you can come to God for me. So,
wow, that's a statement.
I love him. Yeah, I'm not a religious man, so for me, it's all baseball.
So,
obviously
where's all the hate? Where's all the hate come from? Do you? I mean, if you don't want to say,
there's obviously a mix of different things when you're talking about hate. One, I do believe when you start to win and threaten other people's thrones, people get, little catty and like, oh no, they're not as good as us. We're the kings around here. We had the early days with the Knights and the Somerville Alabrandis. As soon as we started to get, we were the joke of the league right before I joined in my first year. We weren't very good, and then all of a sudden we started to be. I recruited. Eric hit some home runs with some recruits, and all of a sudden we started to get really good. And then all of a sudden, the Alabrandis started to pay attention to us. And so then that started some wars, and at the end of the day, nobody knows how to separate baseball to real world, right? They kind of overlap them. They can't see our competitiveness on the field and respect it, and then treat it differently off the field. They think we're the same people, and it's like, no, on the field, yeah, we want to cut your throat. You know what I mean? We want to win. Like, that's what we're there to do. We're there to have fun internally, and we're there to win on the field.
Yeah. I never thought of
And
it that I never thought of it that way, but yeah, I
you
mean,
know, like, but off the field, you know, most of the time, like, sure, not everybody's going to be your cup of tea, but for the most part, you know, you get to know us if you want, if you care to. We're actually pretty good guys. You know, we're not a bad group of guys. We're competitive on the field, and we don't take bullshit. Like, I'm not the type, especially here with men's leagues and things like that. Like, I don't have the time to play to your feelings. What, like, so, like, if you don't like me, if you want to say something to me, I'm gonna come right back at you. I'm not gonna be shy about it. I don't care what you think of me. If you're gonna disrespect me, I'm going to say something. And a lot of the guys that were on our teams over the years and stuff like that are the same way. Just because maybe you're good at baseball doesn't give you the right to kind of treat me poorly. Again, you want to talk crap about baseball stuff on the field? Fine, yeah, go ahead, shoot for it. I don't take that disrespectful. But if you want to come at me in different ways and take things personal on the field, that's kind of when I'm not going to deal with that. And so I think, you know, combination of that, I had, you know, three at one point. I did have three Expos teams.
right.
I was in Yawkey. I kept the team in there for an extra two, even though we ended up leaving and going to the ICL with my main team. I had some bench guys who kind of wanted more playing time, and so I was like, I'll run things for you, but you guys need to have a coach and all that stuff. So I had a team in the Yawkey League, ICL, and Cable. So I was spread thin, right? I was everywhere. So if you were an umpire, if you were a player, if you were a coach who'd been around long enough or in those leagues, you were coming across my name or my team's name. And again, for better or for worse, sometimes, again, a lot of winning, a lot of, you know, being out there. People don't like that, and they want to take you down. They want to beat you, right? They want to be the team that beat you and say, oh yeah, you're not as good as you think. And then there's also the things that come with it, right? Again, I'm the biggest. I'll tell the truth. Like, I can be an asshole on the field to umpires and stuff like that too. I don't think I ever take it far where I think some of them take it way too personal. Like, I never swear at an umpire, right? I don't ever like cuss them out.
And
I don't
you're
like
also an
scream at
umpire,
them.
just so people know.
And
So,
I am now an umpire too, right?
yeah.
So you know, I can see it both ways. But I've never cussed an umpire out. I just, you know, if I feel something's not right, I speak to them. And my biggest issue with umpires or anybody in general, like in this type of thing, is give me the time of day. This is men's league. This isn't professional baseball. You know what I mean? I'm spending my money, my time, my effort, you know, sitting in hours of traffic, you know, dealing with my kids at home, trying to get to a game, etc. The whole 9 yards with what a lot of us deal with. And if I get to a game and I'm just there now, I'm there to relieve myself, right, and have fun, let loose, enjoy baseball. And if I got to deal with umpires who could give two shits about being there,
Yeah.
and they're just straight up assholes from the get-go, and you can't just even approach them in a friendly way and talk to them about, hey, like, you know, where are those pitches missing from my guy, like, so I can talk to him, maybe we can make an adjustment, catcher can move, some whatever, whole night. And if the first thing I get is just like, don't even talk to me, like, what this is professional, this isn't professional baseball, this is amateur ball. I'm here talking to you friendly, trying to see, you know, maybe it's my catcher, maybe he's set up poorly, maybe he's dragging the pitch, maybe he's blocking you or something like that. Just talk to me. You know what I mean? Like, one of the first times, one of the biggest you know, things I've ever had with an umpire was probably like 6-7 years ago. And my guy was missing, or I didn't think he was missing, but to the umpire he was missing. And so in between innings, I went up to him and I was like, hey sir, I was like, you know, I was like, where's my guy missing, just so I can like try to, you know, see if we can make an adjustment. He's like, he's missing in the ball zone. I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, he's missing in the ball zone, go back to your bench.
Okay.
And I'm like, what? I was like, what the fuck's your problem? Like, sorry, I don't know if I'm really supposed to be swearing
Yeah,
exactly like
say
this,
whatever
but
you want.
I'm like, what is your problem? Like, I'm asking you a respectful question. Like, if you don't really want to answer it, like, fine, you can just say, like, we're not going to talk balls and strikes. Like, I appreciate you asking nicely, but, like, whatever. Like, I'm not going to talk about it. And okay, like, I wouldn't understand it fully, but I would, like, be like, okay, like, whatever, you're not going to talk about it. But to just be an arrogant asshole and be like, you're missing in the ball zone? Like, what is that? Like, what does that even mean? Like, we're paying you to be here. the money you're making isn't coming from Major League Baseball. That's coming from our pockets. Like, we're paying for you to umpire, essentially, right? We all pay a fee that goes to the league, and like, the league gets us umpires, and like that's the outcome, right? So
So
just
I
give
got
me
a question.
respect.
So I played with you. I've watched you play. I know you've had these altercations, not altercation, but misagreement with umpires and stuff. You being an umpire now, are you less harder on these umpires, knowing that umpiring isn't easy, or are you still the same? Where that
So
miss, you know what I mean?
no, so I would say I like to feel like I am. I like to feel that I'm easier in terms of chirping a little bit more on balls and strikes and not showing them up. But that's never going to stop me as a coach, as a player, as someone that just views the game a certain way, like from trying to talk to them in between innings to kind of get a feel for how things going. And again, back to the conversation I was just saying, I'll never not accept someone who is an umpire in men's leagues and special like that being disrespectful and not being able to just have a little simple conversation. So if you're still going to be an ass to me and not like give me the time of day for me to ask you a question, that makes no sense to me. Me, even as an umpire now, you can come. I don't care if you ask me why am I missing every outside pitch. You can come talk to me as long as you're coming to talk to me. You can ask me any question you want. My feelings aren't going to get hurt. I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm going to answer your question openly and honestly. I'm going to say I have it missing a couple inches outside.
Mhm.
That's it. That's my view. That's what I see. I mean, if you don't like it, I can respect that, but I'm going to try to keep it consistent. So for me, I do like to think that I'm a little bit better in terms of the chirping and not showing them up and just trying to bring that more on the side and talk to them. But I still just feel like there's too many umpires, which is why I got back into umpiring,
Yeah.
is that there's just too many of them
Hmm.
that don't care.
That's
I
why I
don't
got.
need you. I don't need you to love the game like I do. I'm not saying that. I don't need you to know every single rule in the rule book because there's a million of them. Nobody does. Even the best of umpires, I'm guaranteed there's a few rules that they're not going to know, no matter how long they've been doing it, professional or not. That's why there's reviews in MLB, right? Sometimes they got to go do a rule check. Not everybody knows everything all the time. I don't need that. I just need you to take it serious, the fact that I'm paying you to be there, that we all take time to be there, that this is a men's league. It's not pro ball, like I said. So some of us have kids, some of us have a 9 to 5 job and we're coming straight from a job. Like we got a lot of things going on. So just give me a little bit of respect is all I is all
Now,
I
do you think that's something that quote unquote like reputate, like your
Yeah,
reputation
100.
created that, or do you feel like it's across the board?
Yeah, we talked about that with Russ last week.
No,
Because I feel like give me a second. I let you talk.
yep.
I feel like there's times these because I've been in conversations with umpire signers. Oh, when they hear a team, we're not gonna do that game. You know what I mean? So I try to like, from at least for my team, I try to tell them like, guys, you have to respect the game. Because they got a couple guys that can be a little too aggressive with umpires, and I'm like, you complain about what type of umpires go to our game because they suck or whatever, but what they say, but if you be labeled that team that's hard to work with, when they see that your team's name on arbiter, they're not going to accept the games. So do you think it's something cross board, or is something that maybe you created with your reputation?
No, I mean, I think to an extent it's probably reputation. Like I said, I've been, I've been around since what 2010, 2011 in the amateur circuit and stuff like that. So 15 years is a long time, and not just one team. I think that did make a difference a little bit, where I had, out of probably what 4 or 5 like premium, or not even premium, but just 4 or 5 good leagues in the area. Park League, Yawkey League, ICL, Cable, Cranberry, and BMBL. So 6 leagues. Let's count the BMBL as one whole league. So 6 leagues. At one point for multiple years, I was in. I was managing a team in 3 of those leagues. So they were seeing me spring, summer, and fall. Probably 60, 70, 80 games a summer. So I think that didn't help, because I think if I just had one team and they were only seeing me once every so often, not as much, I think I wouldn't have built up as strong of a reputation as like some umpires not liking me, at least on the field. So I definitely think reputation, but at the same time, a lot of the umpires, at least in my earlier years, like first half of my years playing, and then first couple of years of coaching, when I was kind of building up a, whatever you want to call a bad reputation or whatever, some of those umpires are ones that I'm actually pretty good friends with now, and I was actually even pretty good friends then. Like there was a lot of times where Jim Burns, I'm sure Dan, Jim now being an umpire. Me and him, we had some like testy battles on the field, and then literally in the parking lot, he would drive up past my truck, park, and like start shooting the breeze at me and talking to me, even though he just like cussed me out, was mad at me on the field because I was giving him a hard time. We had a close relate. We actually had a pretty good relationship off the field. So, it kind of goes both ways. I think there's just some umpires that, again, just like players and other teams, can't separate on field from off field. Like, yeah, I'm competitive on the field. Sometimes I've taken a little bit too far, but again, I've never cussed anybody out. I've been ejected from one game ever, and I wasn't even a player or a coach at that time. I was there observing my team from behind the backstop with no gear on.
Brandon,
And
is it true that you pulled up to someone else's game to confront an umpire?
no,
That's what I was told.
no, I'll give you that. So I actually would love to have it out there. So,
Oh boy.
for what? Because one, how the hell am I supposed to know who the hell a fucking umpire is going to be umpiring what games and
Don't
when?
shoot the messenger.
No, no, that's fine. That's fine. There was an umpire who, it was in the Yawkey League where we first had our interaction, and it was the Expos versus the Stoneham Sabres at Maplewood Park. Nick Powers hits a ball out in the gap, off the fence, bottom of the fence. Ball is lost. Nobody can find it originally. Nick stops at second. They kind of start to do the process to, like, two hands up for the sign the umpire gives for what do you call it? Two bases. And right as that is about to happen, my outfielder found the ball in the weeds. He picked it up. Right? Stupid of him. But he picked it up and he threw it in. And we're like, okay, well, what's going on? And the umpires are kind of talking, and then he comes out and he gives the home run sign. And I'm like, home run? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, my guy just threw it in. It was at the bottom of the fence. It hit off the base of the fence. Everybody sees it. Nick's laughing at second base and stuff like that. And he's like, I saw it leave the park. He must have grabbed it from under the fence. I'm like, there's like 6 inches of like weeds and grass, and then right on the other side is like 50 trees. There's no way that ball went over that fence, came down, and he was able to somehow get it from under the fence. I was like, everybody here knows it's off the bottom of the fence.
What field was this? What field was this at?
Maplewood.
Oh, Maplewood. Yeah.
I'm like, this. Look at the kid at second base who hit it. He's laughing at you. I'm like, the ball didn't leave the park. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I thought it left the park, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. Like, I'm like, all right, what? So we go off or whatever. Game ends, and I'm talking with him, and I'm just like, I really can't believe you thought that ball left the park. He's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, that's what I had. I'm like, whatever, man. Like, and then so that game ended. Here, I think he umpired another game of mine at some point that year or whatever. I'm obviously there, and he sees me and he's like, I don't want a word from you today. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I didn't even say anything. And I was like, and I dropped it at that last game. I said, we had a disagreement on a call. I said, but we left it alone. I'm like, why are you bringing it back up? I haven't even said a word. He's like, I don't want to hear you. And it happened to be Stoneham again. And so he ended up reporting me to the league after, or to Walter, I assume, and then got back to my league. And Angela was on the board at the time, and I was like, I wrote back to Angela with everybody on it. I'm like, Angela, can you please stick up for me here? I was like, I didn't even say anything to him. He started yelling at me, and Angela stood up for me. I was like, yeah, like the guy kind of went off on him. Brandon didn't even say anything. And so the league let it go and told Walter to kind of we're not going to do anything about it. One of our board members was there. We're it doesn't sound like anything happened. We're kind of letting it go because Walter wanted me to, be suspended or something because he was making it a
Expelled for
multiple
life.
thing. Well, that wasn't even from that. But that was just that. But then comes the real issue that caused like everything was we were in the playoffs for cable, and we had won. We were waiting for the winner of I think it was Giants and Marlins, and they were playing up at Frazier Field in Lynn. So last minute, I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's a nice night out. Let me go check it out. I go up there, and of course, the home plate umpire is this guy. I think his name was Mark something. I can't remember his last name. I used to remember for a while because I hated the guy so much because he literally made fabricated shit up. But and the base umpire was Ed Maccarelli. And so whatever, watched the whole game. Yeah, so whatever, I watched the game. Game's over. Terrio was actually there and stuff like that too. He was there for the Giants. I'm talking to him and Gia Russo, who was the league president of the cable at the time. We're all shooting the shit for a few minutes, and then they were like going to go have their team huddle and stuff like that and get out of there. So I take off. As I go down, if you guys know the field well enough, obviously the pavement on the third base side when you come out of the field heading towards that little mini parking lot, as I'm coming down the stairs from the bleachers and heading that way, both umpires are coming out the field to leave, and we're walking next to each other. And Maccarelli they were talking about a play because I think there was like a controversial play in that game or whatever. And Maccarelli said something like, "Oh, like yeah, I don't whatever he said," standing up for the home plate umpire. And I was like, oh, and I chimed in. I shouldn't have. I should have shut my mouth and kept walking. But I was like, oh, was it a home run that didn't leave the field? And and Ed looks over at me and started laughing. Like Maccarelli started giggling, and the home plate umpire, Mark, whatever his name was, looks at me, and he was like, "Oh," he's like, "You're that slug, Branden Anderson, aren't you?" Slug. And I'm like, "Yep, I definitely am." That's all I said. He was calling me names, right? He called me a slug. And I'm like, okay, like whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. But
you did hit him with the home run comment.
I did. But
so you kind of like
again, so expelled. So that gets that warrants me getting expelled, right?
No.
I know,
I don't think.
So I whatever. We go our separate ways. My truck is first. I go to my truck. Him and Ed go off to their cars, which are kind of more towards the center field area. Where umpires can park and stuff like that. And that was it. And then after, Ed was coming back my way because I think he just walked Mark to his car. Ed came back my way, and I was like, "Hey Ed," I was like, "What's that guy name? Like, I'm gonna report him, see how he likes it." And that was it. And he told me his name. Ed gave me his name and everything. I put it in my phone. I left. All of a sudden, like over the next couple of days, like the cable's reaching out to me. And obviously Yawkey League gets involved because, like I said, I have a team over there, and they're like, "Oh, like you like stalked and followed this guy to his car, and you were trying to attack. He was scared for his life." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Scared for his life, and I was following him? Like, give me a break." First of all, I didn't even know the guy was going to be the umpire at that game, so like, how could I even know that at the time? Two, like, yes, I'm at the game, I'm watching the game. I can't not avoid him. He happened to be next to me. Yes, I made a stupid comment, but like, big deal. He's like, "Oh, well, he felt nervous that like you were following him."
Sounds like the same story Russ Ward told.
I was actually ahead of him walking. Like he actually was walking up behind me. I just kind of slowed down to make the funny comment because I could overhear them talking. I was like, nowhere did I ever follow him. And I was like, that's when I knew. I was like, this guy's just completely butthurt. I embarrassed him from the get-go very early on with the home run call, years ago, the year before, whenever it was, like, and he just has it out for me, and he made up some extra stuff. Again, yes, did we have some minor words where I joked with him about it? Yes. But did I follow him, or did I try to attack him? That part, certainly not. But yeah, just a joke. And again, one of those, to me, in my eyes, I can admit when I'm wrong. There's been times where maybe I've crossed the line with umpires. Maybe I should shut my mouth. I've owned up to a lot of that in the past, like when I've again had interaction with guys like Jim Burns, and I think that's why me and Jim have a good relationship because I've always been able to go up to him after the fact, after the game, like, my bad, they got the best of me. I should have shut my mouth and stuff like that. So I've owned up to it after the fact. Once like the adrenaline stops and you're not on a field, you're not competitive anymore. You're not mad that you're losing or that you might have lost or you could have lost, and I own up to it. That situation with him, aside from maybe I shouldn't have made the joke, but I never swore at the guy. I never attacked him. I never followed him. I never nothing. If anything, he's the one that was calling me personal names, slug and all that stuff. I'm like, I'm not even attacking you like personally. I'm just like having a joke with you. But so that's kind of how that went, and that turned into Walter wanting me like banned and stuff like that. And I'm like, so like I agreed that the end of that cable season, I agreed. I was like, I won't go to any more of my team's games because Paul was the coach pretty much anyways. And I was like, I won't go to any more games. I'll stay away. I won't go to the rest of the finals. Like literally, we're going to be in the championship and stuff like that. I was like, I won't even go. I'll watch the live feed on TV and stuff like that. I'll stay away so that Walter can cool off and not try to push it any further. And it went from there. And it's just again, I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I've I don't want to say cussed out umpires. I've never actually sworn, but I've gotten on umpires and I've been part of it. And I just again I don't think I've ever crossed the line. I just think they got to see a lot of me, and they just got annoyed with me over time. And then my reputation, I think, just stuck with me, and that, which is fine. Again, I could care less what men's league baseball people think of me. I know I'm a good guy. I know if you get to know me off the field, you would see a totally different side of me. You don't like me on the field, that's totally fine. Whether you're an umpire, a coach, a player, you don't have to. I don't care. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I still got my family to go home to at the end of the day. I got my kids that I can go to. I got friends that know the real me, like, and that's just how it is. My wife calls me an asshole all the time. I can be, like, because I don't take bullshit. I don't if I see something that doesn't look right, I say something, like, and that's just who I've always been. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, and sometimes it's benefited me sticking up for myself and standing up for myself, whether on the field or off. So it's just who I am. But yeah, reputation, everybody, it's a small knit community, in baseball around here. Everybody knows everybody. And once your name starts to get out there, regardless of whether it's good or bad, it's out there. So I feel like I've been a pretty good soldier over the last handful of years, but there's still people out there who want to, not forget the past and just move forward. Even if I'm perfect, I can go to a game, be perfect, not say a word, just sit there silent, and I'll still have an umpire like giving me the looks or going and saying something like, "Oh, I don't like doing their games," and it's like, I literally don't even say anything anymore. But I've learned to take that with a grain of salt, and I've moved past it, and I'm good with where I'm at in life, where I'm at on the ball field. I feel I've improved. I feel like it's nothing at this point. If that's what people want to think of me, I can't stop them anymore, because obviously, like I said, I've tried to be good. I've tried to be better about it, to make an effort. But if people aren't willing to look past the past, then there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm just gonna keep being me, enjoy baseball, and let them have their hissy fits and hurt feelings.
So Brandon, so when someone thinks about the Expos, what do you want the perception of the Expo organization to be?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. So I think it's twofold for me. For one, on the field, I want them to know that we're tough and we're there to kick your ass. And we ain't going to be friendly with you necessarily on the field. Not to say we're going to be disrespectful, but we're not going to be like goody two shoes and like hugging each other and like stuff on the field. We're there to win. We're there to compete. But that when the game is over, I also want you to know that we're a group of good guys, because we are. I don't think I've ever had a true bad egg on my team since I started the Expos. For a very long time. Yeah.
And Grande.
For a very long time, with the Knights, we dealt with, and Omar, Kenny Polanco. While in some aspects, like,
Be right back.
he can
Sorry,
be a
guys.
good dude, and I think you really had to get to know him. There was still a lot on the field and a little bit off that just Kenny rubbed people the wrong way all the time. Was a dick, wouldn't show up to games and wouldn't tell us, would show up last minute, like, and expect to play. And if he wasn't in the starting lineup because he showed up last minute, he'd throw a fit or he'd leave or something, like, just like a bunch of stupid stuff. Like, he was probably one of the worst. And then Chris Dowd, who's one of my good friends. We go way back. We played in school together. We went to the same high school. And he had a bad reputation, like, umpires, telling umpires to suck my dick and stuff like that. And love Chris. I love all those antics. I'll take every bit of it because he was a hell of a ball player. But, like, those were the two closest, like, if you want to quote unquote bad eggs that I've ever been on with teams. All my guys, Jose, Mikey, like, all, Wilson Mercado back in the day, all these players that I can name off, that between the Knights and the Expos, all great guys off the field. But yeah, on the field, like, we're there to win. We're not there to lose. Like, we're competitive. But once the game's over, as long as you're cool with it, we're cool with it, and we can move on whether we won or lost. And so I think that's kind of how I want people to look at us, is I want them to know that we're respected on the field, and that hopefully they don't have too much of a negative light on us. But at the same time, I know there's always going to be a negative light shine on anything if you're a winner. And we've done a lot of winning over the last handful of years. So there's always going to be negativeness. But as long as you know that we were competitive, tough, good dudes on the field, and then even better guys off the field, that's all I can ask for at the end of the day. Because
let me ask you a question. I don't mean to cut you off, but
no,
do you
you're
feel
good.
like some of the stuff that happens outside the field reflects of why you guys don't really get along with a lot of people in the game? Because, to tell you the truth, I hear a lot of stuff, and most of the time you guys are involved, and it's some of the guys in your organization. Negativity spreads way more than positivity. When you're a winner, I get it. You get haters, but I feel like, hello, can you
Yeah,
hear
we're
me?
good. Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
get
Sorry,
Okay,
it.
I'm sorry.
I went on mute for a sec.
Oh, it was you. Okay, I'm sorry. So I feel
Oh,
like a lot of, because there's been a lot of winners that we get shit. The Alabrandis get shit. I've never really heard the Lexington Blue Sox get shit, like, because they've been winners, But I feel like with you guys, it's a little different, because it's like me and Dan always talk. Like, we feel like we should have a like a reality show for amateur baseball,
yep.
because it's just like it gets crazy at times,
So much
And,
drama.
and I love it, because this is what we do. Like, this is our major leagues,
Yeah,
Like, me, I really don't take it personal, because if I took it personal, I would stop doing what I do,
yeah,
Because no other name gets tossed around more than my name. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And I don't give a shit. None of you guys even know me, so I don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
What? I
But
mean,
I
that's
feel like a lot of the stuff, sometimes you guys put it on yourselves, because it's just like the extra antics off the field, it rubs
yeah.
people the wrong way. Maybe they're not used to it, because a
And
lot.
look, I could be wrong. I mean, I can't account for every situation you might be talking about, nor
Yeah,
I might not even know about every situation. But, you know, 90% of in my opinion, and again, I could be biased, I don't feel like we normally start a lot of that. There's social media stuff that comes up on that. Again, there's a lot of things, and you mentioned like the Blue Sox and Alabrandis. They ain't no different than the rest of us when it comes to this shit. The reason why is because they have a lot long. They had one team. They have a lot longer of a history, and a shit ton of winning. So everybody
yeah,
kisses their ass.
yeah,
I guarantee if I had the Expos for 20 years and we won 15 titles and stuff like that, and again, those teams were absolutely loaded, right? So like they were the best of the best, and they didn't really have umpires to worry about. They didn't have a lot of other teams to worry about. I mean, these Alabrandis, I mean, they won it what, like 8 years in a row at one point in the Yawkey League, and I'm sure they had another streak because they won a total, I think, of like 14 or 15 or I don't know, something like that, and they only were in the league for like 20, 25 years. So they probably had another streak of 4, 5, 6 wins in a row somewhere along the line. So like they never lost. And same thing with the Blue Sox and the ICL. they've been around. I think they just had their 30th year last year. I think I remember Rick celebrating that, and they've won like 16 titles, and they haven't won in the last like I think 3 or 4 years. So they won like 16 titles in about 25 years. So like they were basically winning it every year, and they had the best of the best college guys coming to them and playing for them. So like they didn't have to worry about like all the other little stuff. They had the advantage. They had the best players. They've been around a long time. They already had a lot of people like respecting them. So I feel like they were kind of protected from that. And then, but off the field, those, in my opinion, not necessarily the Blue Sox. I think a lot of those guys are actually pretty good guys.
Yeah.
But the Alabrandis, I don't care if they're watching. A lot of those guys are straight up dicks off the field. Off the field.
Hey, listen. So we're gonna be honest, Brandon. So let me tell you this. Like, I'm gonna be honest because I've been watching from afar. You guys would wear after winning the championship. You wear T-shirts of other players, like looking like clowns. I feel like you guys took trolling to another level. You feel me? And like that's what I tell you. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. Just... It works for but everyone's different. But like what I've realized now is that people don't like change. People don't like new things. People don't like new people. Like, this is why no one likes me, because they don't like that my league is fucking growing. They don't like that we give we do everything. We try to be the best we can. They don't like that. They don't like that our social presence on social media is out there. They don't like that, and I understand that. So I watched you guys from afar. I know you guys. I played with some of you guys. But I'd be like, oh, like, you can't really play the victim. Like, I don't play the victim. I know people don't like me. They don't even know me, so I don't give a shit. But a lot of times you got to own it. For example, what your manager texts other guys talking shit to them, that's going to come back to your organization. You feel me? And I feel like it takes away from your greatness.
But it's also a two-way street. I don't want to speak for him, and because I don't even I don't know what scenarios you're talking about.
I can send you screenshots, brother.
No, that's fine.
I got the receipts.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's not true. It very well could be. But normally, and again, not necessarily in his situation, but I can speak for pretty freely for guys like me, Jose, stuff like that. A lot of times when we do our shit talking, in my opinion, it's always in response. If someone's gonna post something on Facebook talking shit about someone or on our team or our team about our team or anything like that, we're not shy. We're gonna come right back. We're gonna talk shit back to you. We're gonna send messages to other people. We're gonna think poorly of you. It's a two-way street. So like a lot of times where we're talking shit, it's because we're getting shit talked about us too. So like, yes, the T-shirt thing with the clowns. Yeah, you know why?
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
I remember that.
I thought it was hilarious, bro.
You know why?
I made my own shirt. I took your picture. I put my picture on. We had fun with it.
Yeah, it's fine. We took it to the next level because, again, at the beginning of that season, me and Paulie were trying to get suspended. I think I was getting like 5 or 6 games. Paulie was getting 3 or 4 games because of an assumption. So we had, the cable does lineup cards where you have to be at so many games. You don't have to play in all of them, but you have to be on the lineup card for a certain amount of games. And there was an instance where we had one of our stud pitchers, Zach Kirby, stud pitchers on ICL, so he couldn't pitch in cable. So there was a handful of games that he was going to have to come to, just be on the lineup card, hang out, and whatever. There was a Friday night game we were playing against the Metro Gators at Pine Banks Park. He came to the game after whatever, a couple of days, he's on the lineup card. The other team signs off on it and everything like that. Manager signs off on it. A couple of days after, like, they come to us and they're like, oh, it was reported to us by someone that you had someone on the lineup card that wasn't in attendance. And I'm like, who and how do you know that to be the case? I was like, the other manager signed off on it. He didn't have a complaint. Was it him that's complaining? And they're like, no, we were told by someone who knows Kirby that he would never come to a game on a Friday night if he wasn't playing. And I'm like, okay, but he did. Do you have proof that he wasn't there? Or somebody at the game, like from the board, that didn't see him there and they know who he is? Do you have some type of actual evidence that says he wasn't there? Because otherwise, the scorecard was signed by the other manager validating that everybody on the scorecard was there. Case closed. And they were like, this isn't a court of law. We don't need to have proof. And I'm like, yeah, technically you're right, but you suspend me and my coach off an assumption that someone told you there's no way he, not that he knew he was there, that in their opinion there's no way he the game night if he wasn't playing. And they're like, well, we're suspending you, whatever. So they suspended. We appealed. Dave Giarrusso, who was the president, was basically the arbiter, or whatever you want to call it, of the case at that point, because he wasn't involved in the suspension itself. And we explained our case. I'm like, dude, they have no evidence. They're just making it up from someone telling them. And he was like, okay, let me go back to them. And so he went back to them and he's like, yeah, like, what do you guys have besides someone's word saying that he wouldn't be there? And they're like, no, nothing, but this guy is a friend of his and he's saying that he would not. And he's like, so you guys actually have no proof? Like, there's like nothing legitimate? And they're like, no. So he vacated the suspensions. So he got rid of the suspensions for us, and so we never had to serve a day. So that's why 2 of the 3 people on that, DJ Goldberg and Matt Sullivan, I think that was his name, were 2 of the 3 people on there with the clowns, because they're clowns. They got some power. They're board of directors of a league, and they think, ooh, we got the power. We don't like them. We got someone that's given us evidence, so we're gonna suspend them. Like. And that's what that was. And then the third person was Nick Powers, because, we had a history in the cable league of beating them multiple years in a row in the championship. And, Nick and everybody going back and forth saying it's a cupcake league. And I'm like, well, we just beat you in that cupcake league. So what's that make you? And so that type of thing. So he was the third person on the shirt. So that was just all good fun. But again, that wasn't meant to be like, a truly negative thing. It was like literally making light of the situation, right? Making fun of the situation. So if that's looked at as part of like being really, really bad person because of that, then hey, so be it. That's fine with me. I don't really care. But
now, do you have that T-shirt hung up?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
I know, but it is still in my drawer. It is still in my drawer. I don't have it hung up, but it is still in my drawer. I pull it every now and again. I wear it as an undershirt to a game if I need like a color red or something, because it's in red. So if I need like an undershirt that's red to go with my uniform or something, just to throw it on so that there's something underneath.
Was that after the Roger Goodell clown?
I think it was.
Shirt?
Yeah. Because this was
takeoff of that.
Yeah. This is 2021 or whatever when we did it. So yeah, I mean Goodell and that happened back in 16 or something like that when Matt Patricia did that with the Patriots. So yeah, that was years after, which is I think why we got that idea to do. I didn't even get the idea. I had the shirts made, but somebody else came with it. Someone else had the idea, and I just made the shirts because I have a heat press at home, so I can make some cheap little shirts like that for fun.
I found it funny, I found it hilarious, but I'm like, this is why they get the heat.
No, that's fine.
If you ain't ready for the heat, stay out the kitchen.
Oh no, I'm ready for the heat, and that's why I told you, like, I don't really care what people think of me. Like, I want umpires to respect me a little bit more now. Like, that's why I've been trying to be good, like, because now I am an umpire, and so I'm working with them, which I also think is now helping me more because now I'm also working games with them. But ultimately, players and coaches and other teams, what they think of me, at the end of the day, dude, I could really care less. It's Boston amateur baseball. Now, while I love it and while we're on the field, we treat it like it's the pros because this is what we have. But at the end of the day, if someone doesn't like me because I rubbed them the wrong way, then so be it. I don't really care.
So on one hand, you say that, but then, you have an issue with these umpires that come out and have that same kind of attitude that I don't care what people think of me, and I'm going to come here and be an asshole. So I feel like you're kind of saying the opposite thing. Like you don't like guys like that, as an umpire.
But I'm paying them.
Yeah, but I don't know.
So right. I do. I mean, I'm paying them, so they should have a little bit more with it. Because, like I said, I've never. While maybe there's times I should shut my mouth more often. I've never shown them, like, I don't like scream across the field at them. I don't swear at them. I just chirp them a little bit, and then I talk to them a lot in between innings. Again, whether they like it or not, that's fine. They obviously sometimes they don't, certain umpires, but I don't ever really get truly like extremely disrespectful or anything like I've seen from a lot of other people who are in these leagues who get treated with gold. Like, I mean, there's I'm not going to name names because I like some of these guys, but I've seen other coaches and stuff like that. I've seen other coaches and stuff like that cuss out umpires and, you know, do things way worse than I've actually technically done.
Yeah.
And they're still looked at as gold. You know what I mean? Like, because they're on some of these teams that, you know, have been around a long time. That, you know, the Alabrandis of the world, you know, the Blues world, you know, stuff like that. And so I think a lot of these guys like Rick, and I tell him this, like, he's like best friends with a lot of these guys. A lot of these umpires, like, he played with or he coached like in the ICL, and like he's like literally like good friends with them. Like, he has all their
Who's that? The guy from the Blue Sox?
Like, he has all their.
Oh, apparently he didn't like me calling him brother.
But like he has like all their phone numbers like on speed dial. Like, he's good friends with all of them. So like, yeah, it's really easy for him to be at a game with most of these umpires and not have to complain about them or bitch at them because he's good friends with them. So like, they treat him differently, right? They treat him like their friend on the field. Where me, I could go up to them and ask them the same things nicely, but they don't want to give me the time of day. They treat me like I'm anybody else, regardless of reputation. Like, they just like, I'm not talking balls and strikes, but he can go up to him and talk. I've heard him talk about balls and strikes, and they give him the time of day, explain pitch by pitch, frame by frame, where they're missing and this and that. And I'm like, I could go ask you the same thing right now, and I would never, ever in a million years get that same response, whether it was year 1 or year 10 in my time in the league. It doesn't matter.
I'm gonna agree with you on this part because I've seen it, and I feel like it's a lot of Walters guys, and I don't mean to call Walter out. You know,
I'm one of Walters guys.
Yeah, but just because I say it doesn't mean it's everyone. But I'm talking about the assigner, because I've dealt with a different assigner this year in 2024, and I saw less of that. But when the 19 years that I was playing in the other league, I saw a lot of that myself. You can't have a conversation with them because they shut you off. One more thing, out of you out of here, sir.
Yeah.
Was that a ball? Was it low? And I seen it a lot from Walters guys, and we got Paul Karen and we got Mo, and those guys I think are more receptive to get a little constructive criticism. Sir, did that miss a little low in a way? Yeah, miss. All right, I'll talk to my catcher. Let me, you know. And I feel like a lot of guys, because I've been in these leagues for a long time, and these guys have been in the league for a long time too. In all these leagues, they're complacent. You know, they're comfortable. They know that they're needed. So no matter how much of assholes they act, it's they're needed. You know, and then when reality hits, when there's other assigners that find different umpires, and slowly they start getting less games every year, maybe that's when they're going to change. But until that happens, they're going to still be assholes. Because there's a lot of assholes. And I don't want to say they're all assholes, because there's a lot of good umpires.
I can name a ton of good umpires, like I said, especially now I'm working with them too. But like Mike Hinojosa, one of the greatest umpires in the Boston Amateur Circuit.
We're going to have him on in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, even Jim Burns, who I've had some disagreements, really good guy, like, to the time can be like, especially then off the field, you can talk about the disagreements you had and be a man about it. Like, there's a lot of good umpires, but there's a lot of, in my opinion, not even because of like their performance on the field. It's more about their attitude on the field. For me, like, because like I said, now I'm an umpire. It's hard when you get back there, and I'm young, right, or youngish, right, compared to a lot of these guys, and it's hard to follow someone throwing 90 miles per hour and getting a good read and seeing over the catcher and trying to get a good feel for where the zone is.
And then you go and do Little League after that.
Right, yeah. Then you go do a Little League.
Then you got mom and pops yelling at you.
But some of these other guys are like 60 years old, 70, 65 years old. There's some really old umpires out there. There's no way they can see. There's
Yeah.
no way. There's no way. I have
Yeah.
trouble sometimes. There's no way they can. But I respect that. They're back there. They're making an effort, right? And if they had better attitudes and approached the game a little bit differently, I honestly wouldn't have really any issues with umpires. For me, it's all about the attitude. If you can give me the time of day a little bit, I'm not asking you to have a wholeheartedly conversation with me between every inning. But like every once in a while, if I come up to you and I ask you a nice question, just give me a respectful answer back, even if you're not fully answering it. But when you're kind of an ass about it, then that's when my blood boils, and then I am going to become an ass, and then I am going to like start to chirp you and really have an issue. So I do feel like there's never a two-way street with a lot of those umpires. They could all be Walters. I don't really know. I don't want to say they are, but like there's only a one-way street with him. Whatever his umpire tells him, he goes with, even if
Yeah.
it could be wrong. You know what I mean? He just takes their word for it and blows it up. And I don't think that's fair because there's always two sides to every story. You know
And
what I
right
mean?
now
And
he has to, with the shortage and all that.
right,
It's
and that doesn't
unfortunate,
help.
but I mean, it's one of the reasons I became an umpire because of umpires like you just described who don't have the time of day or just have an attitude. And my concern is, once we've been doing this for 20, 30 years, that we're going to be those assholes. And I hope that is not the case. But if you do this for such a long time and you
I,
got people,
But I feel like the umpires who aren't assholes are the ones that played the game.
right.
yes, we're still like Brandon said, we're still young. We've only been doing this for a few years, 2 years for me. But my fear is that we're going to turn into those guys because you do this for so long, and it's a
And
job where you just get yelled at. You don't get praised. Your
yeah.
job is to basically get yelled
And
at.
if that's the case, I truly hope someone tells me to get lost. If I ever become that person as an umpire, because again, yes, while making the money is nice, like extra little side cash, trust me, sometimes it's not worth the hassle of when you're sitting in traffic to these games, when you're dealing with people heckling you and players, cussing you out. Like it's not fun. So like, money's nice, but at the end of the day, like I'm there because I enjoy the game and it gives me a different perspective and keeps me part of the game in a different way. Like managing and owning teams, like I already can't go to a lot of games, which is why I said Paulie's a savior to me. So
Right.
like I'm already getting to the point where like I can't be at games. So umpiring I can be because I can always say I'm going to make money, right? And I won't get any complaints from the wife or anything like that. It's an easy out. So it keeps me around the game. So like that, like if I ever get to that point where I don't enjoy the game enough that I'm becoming a dick to players or coaches, please someone tell me get out. If anybody in the future is ever watching this and me as an umpire and you see me being, you know, an ass back to you or something like that, or to someone else, please come up to me and say, hey man, I think maybe you're done or maybe you're not enjoying it anymore. And I'll walk away because the money's not important enough that I want to, treat the game with disrespect as an umpire when I'm just there to manage the game, to manage the game as an umpire and enjoy it and be part of it and watch some great players and stuff like that. So I hope that's not the case, Dan. But if that is the case, that would be disappointing because I don't think I could ever be on a ball field and not enjoy it, right, and
Right,
not
right,
like
right.
take it with a positive outlook in some way. So I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect us to talk so much about umpires this episode, but I am looking forward to talking to Mike.
Yeah, Mike's a great
in a
umpire.
couple weeks to get his side of things. He's been doing it for a long time. But yeah, that's going to be a good episode where we can talk like the other side of baseball that a lot of people don't know about because there's its own drama with umpires too.
Oh
Players.
hell yeah!
Yeah,
Jesus,
it's
Oh yeah.
the amount of drama in amateur men's baseball
unnecessary
leagues.
drama. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, most of the time it
I
is.
think most
Some
of the
people need
things
to get
in
laid,
baseball,
man. Get laid, bro.
I think most of
Go
the
get
things in
laid, man.
amateur baseball, especially really in a lot of different sports and stuff, but like especially in amateur baseball, most of the things I've seen are from people. Someone get laid or something. I don't know because there's no reason like to be on a ball field and like whether you're a coach, a manager, a coach, a player, an umpire, whatever you are, to just like be friendly, be upbeat, and like enjoy what you're doing. And I think if we were all kind of like that off the field as well and didn't take things, get all butt hurt and like take things offensively, I think like the drama would be gone. Because I think that's where a lot of it comes from. You know,
I mean, do you
people
think these
get
guys
hurt
do
about
this
something.
in their regular
People get
jobs?
butthurt about something that happened on the field, and then they go, they go online, they post about it, and then it starts an argument, and then it's a big tirade on social media, and then it carries over back onto the field. Same thing, umpires, like we were just talking about, they get a little butthurt, like, and a little bit too
Yeah.
sensitive, like they don't want any criticism, even if it's like the smallest nitpick,
Yeah, yeah.
and then they take it out on you, right? So I just think if we all were just a little bit like more carefree and just enjoyed playing, coaching, umpiring a game, and didn't take things so personal, I think you could look at it a little bit differently. But that's just my opinion.
No, I agree. And do these people do this like at their real jobs? Like, because you couldn't get away with
Well,
having that
that's what I
attitude like
mean.
at your real job. Like,
Like if I ever went up to my boss and my boss was like, "Yeah, I don't have time for you. Like, go
yeah,
away."
right,
Like, what? That's your job. Is like, as long as I'm
right,
being respectful to you, like,
right.
yes, I want you to explain to me XYZ. Like, I don't need you to write me a synopsis on it, like a whole book or something like, but like, just give me a little bit of like, yeah, like this is what I saw. That's why I made the call. If I missed something, I'm sorry. Like, or not, you don't even have to say sorry, but just like if I missed it, so be it. Like, I did my best. It was because that's what I saw. But some of these people get so hurt that you just ask them a question and think that you're
Yeah,
challenging them, and it's
yeah.
like, no, I'm literally just asking you a question.
I
Like,
think it's a lot of umpires are very defensive these days. Either they, I mean, you know about the shortage. You know, guys are doing
oh yeah,
four or five games a day. Not that it's an excuse. I mean, I've done it. Yes, I'm still on the younger side, but I've never had a bad attitude.
yeah.
Because of
I
it.
mean, I'll give you one quick example of like why like I still get so hot and bothered now, even sometimes, but I'm able to hold myself back. But why I was like that so much for a long period of time is just case in point. It was last year. There was an umpire who was missing like a bunch of pitches, and like some of my guys were chirping a little bit. I told them to shut up, and time goes on. We get to the end of the game. There was a close play at the plate, and the guy dropped the ball, but he called him out. He's like, "No, it was on the transfer." And it was like, it wasn't even close. But my guy was upset, and he was like, he's like, "Man," he said, "you blew that call." And the umpire looks at him. He's like, "Don't worry, you're about to lose anyways."
Wow. Yeah.
And
See.
my guy's like, "What?" So we go out to the bottom of the seventh. It's a tie game, and literally proceeded to call everything a ball. And I kid you not, like down the middle of the plate, called everything a ball, and we walked the bases loaded, and then they got a fly ball and they won the game. Literally
Oh.
walked three guys in a
Yeah.
row on
Yeah. I
four
would have
straight
lost.
balls
I
to
would have
three
lost
straight
it.
guys. I was
Yeah.
literally telling my catcher, I'm like, set up down the middle of the plate, and my catcher's like, I am. I literally am set up down the middle of the plate now. I'm not even moving my glove, and that's what he did. He purposely went out there because he was a little butthurt that my guy said
Mhm.
something to him. Not
Mhm.
even like crazy, just said you blew
Well,
the
listen,
call.
if umpires are listening, you're saying butt hurt. No, you're not making a case for yourself, Brandon.
No, no,
Be
definitely
nice.
not.
Be nice, bro.
But he did.
And listen, be nice.
He got it. He got a little too offensive. He took it a little bit too offensively. Like it wasn't that big. He literally just said you blew the call, and not screaming at him, just like, oh, come on, man, you blew that call, and that was it. And he told him to be quiet, and he walked away. And as he was walking away, he's like, "Don't worry though, you're about to lose." Like that was literally his words. And then he went
Yeah.
and
I
proceeded to
mean, there's
call
some
everything
umpires
a
that
ball.
they need to show
I'm
that
about to cost you this game.
they're in control and
But I guarantee it, like maybe it's a little bit different because now I am working for Walter. Maybe he would respect what I say a little bit more if I came
No.
to him about it. But I guarantee if I went to Walter and said, "Hey Walter, like your guy said this, like and did this," like he wouldn't care. He would say you probably did something wrong, or your guys did something wrong. And it was like, no, that's not the point. Like even if my guy did something wrong, he can't purposely go out there and like literally below the game for us, and like call everything a ball. So like it's just there's never a two-way street. Like an umpire is always right in every situation. And I think again, part of it is the shortage, but
hmm
there wasn't a shortage 10 years ago as much as there is
yeah.
now, and they
No.
always got the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I've always had that frustration, and I've always said there's no point in telling Walter if you had an umpire who you felt wasn't doing his job or doing it in a nice manner, and yeah, it just, and now it's crazy because now I'm working for Walter, and I'm now seeing more like you of that side of things and the stress that he is dealing with. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
just
don't
one
envy
less
his
thing
job. I mean,
he doesn't want to deal with. And
yeah, I mean,
I
I
don't
don't
blame him,
envy
but
his job. I mean, but also
yeah,
say, I mean, at the same time, he takes it on upon himself, right? He doesn't
that's
have to
true. That's
sign all
true.
these leagues. He
And I've
chooses to
always
do it. But
and I said that too.
regardless of that, he does it. And if he didn't, maybe there's not enough people out there that would do his job, which would cause issues. So, that's why I see it both ways. But I definitely don't envy his job, regardless of whether he chooses to do it or not, because there's definitely a lot of umpires out there, or not a lot of umpires out there, and the ones that are out there are old. And sometimes when they do 3-4 games a day and they get to the last one, they're supposed to do one more, they have
Hmm.
heat stroke and they have to bail on them
Yeah, that
last
happened a
minute.
lot. That
You know
happened
what
a
I
lot
mean?
this year.
Like, or there's a lot of crummy guys out there that will bail on him last minute just in general. And be like, oh, I'm sorry, like something came up, I can't be there. And he has no umpire. Last minute he has to call and like beg other people to go do it. That's shitty. That sucks. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So like, I don't envy that job, regardless of whether he, chooses to do it or not. It's still,
Right, right.
a shitty job to handle.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, as you know, our last umpire meeting, to see certain umpires get awards and get called up, for doing a good job, that felt good because I've always felt as a player that there wasn't enough being done to reward the good umpires that deserve, to be rewarded for being good umpires. So,
Right.
this is my second year, so I'd never been to those board meetings where we're actually acknowledging the good umpires that do a good job. So that was nice to see.
Yeah.
Although you didn't win, neither of us won an award, which I don't,
Yeah. I don't think we'll
I
be
don't.
winning anything anytime soon with all those old timers that've been around
Oh
there
my
for a
God,
long
I
time.
can't. Yeah, some guys 40 years. One guy that was 60 years. He was on the board. It's crazy,
I mean, yeah. There was
crazy.
one guy that literally couldn't even walk,
Yeah,
and
he couldn't
like
get out
he
of
was
his
like
seat.
crippled, and
Yeah,
he's still umpires. I'm like, dude, you can't even get out of his seat. How the hell are you getting
yeah,
behind the
right,
behind the
right.
backstop and like like umpiring a game? I'm like, that's part of the problem too. Is this, a lot
He
of these guys are
can't get
super
out.
old because again the
Yeah,
shortage.
yeah,
And man, I can't imagine being 60, 70 years old with some of these guys, what they look like, being
yeah, yeah.
half walking and stuff like that, and thinking they
Right.
can get back there and umpire some of these games. I mean, I did one of your Havoc games last year, Omar, for Frankie, and dude, he pumps. Like I was not expecting it. Like it was even faster coming in, like when you're behind there than what I thought it was, and it just explodes last minute. And like it was an adjustment. He was probably the hardest throw I've seen up to that point. And so like I had to like make an adjustment with my eyes, and I had to be like, all right, I got to be ready. I got to be down and ready. I got to be in position. Like I can't be slacking even a little bit, because if I'm not, like as soon as he releases that ball, it's
Too sh-
exploding on me, and I got to be there to see if it's in the
Yeah.
zone. It was hard. So like I can't imagine. I'm 35 years old. I can't imagine someone 60 I'll be back there who's been doing it for 40 years. Some of these some of that guy that's been doing it 60 years. I can't imagine them being back there
Yeah,
having to call some of these
yeah,
balls and strikes.
yeah.
They would have to be completely guessing most of the time. There's no way
A
they're
lot of them do.
And by the way, Frank's a havoc. Frank's a havoc.
Yeah, he's saying. Yeah, he said
He's
those.
a havoc. He's a havoc. Listen,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
how long you planning to do this, Brandon? How long you planning to be a GM or
Uh, I'm
run
I'm
the Expos?
I'm year to year right now, man. I'm just trying to take it one year at a time. I mean, I got a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 3-year-old at home. So, like I said, I've already given pretty most, not most, but like a good chunk of the managerial duties to Paul and some other people who help, fill in games. Because I already, again, I can't be at a lot of games. I tend to make a good chunk of the ICL games, but like BMBL last year, I probably was at the first couple before ICL started. And then once ICL started, I don't think I really made another game until maybe playoff time, and I made a couple. And even then, again, I wasn't even at most of the playoffs. It's just hard, I can't be going out every single 7 nights a week doing it. So I pick and choose my battles, and so I was going to ICL games when I could go, but I'm also umpiring. And then again, I got a family, we go on vacations. I can't tell my wife, sorry, can't go on vacation anymore because of baseball. Those days are over. So if we got a vacation to go to, baseball takes second fiddle. So right now, year to year, with owning, I guess, because it is harder, right? You're trusting someone else to manage your team to do it the way you would want it to be done, which Paul does a great job. I don't really have any complaints there, but there's still a lot that goes into it: recruiting, getting good players, raising money, or just getting money in general from players. If you're a straight player fee team, people don't want to pay to play anymore. They all think they're above that. And the ones that do pay, generally, they're not the caliber players that are always going to win you ball games. And while at the end of the day, yes, I want to enjoy myself on the ball field, I'm also there to win. I'm not there to lose. If we lose because we just weren't good enough and we fell a little bit short, someone who was better, fine. That's the name of the game. You can't win all the time. But I'm definitely out there to try to put the strongest team out there. So we'll see how it goes. If I can continue to find people to help manage my teams and fill in the gaps, doing the behind the scenes, that's honestly what I enjoyed the most, is building a team. I don't like when people call me coach. I hate that. I'm not a coach. I never wanted to be a coach. I don't enjoy being a coach, at least not for grown men. You know what I mean? Like these days, I like coaching kids and stuff like that.
You're a manager. You're a manager.
But like, I don't like being a manager, a coach, whatever you want to call it, on the field. It's just not fun because these days there's not as many people as committed to the game. So you never know game to game if they're going to be there. You never know if they're going to pay you. You never know if they're going to up and leave you for a different situation. So it's hard, but that is actually the part that I like the most, is actually building the team off season wise, recruiting, finding guys and stuff like that. That's kind of what I enjoy more than actually coaching. Like I don't like coaching on the field. I only did it for so long when I took over the Expos and stuff, was out of necessity, because I wanted to keep going with the team. I wanted to still have a team and give guys an opportunity to play baseball somewhere, and allow me to be around it. But I didn't want to be the coach. In a perfect world, Eric would have never stepped away, and he would have been fully committed, and I could have, he could have coached, and I could have been like the GM, because I was better at that. He never really recruited except for around the people he knew. But like, I go out and recruit. I'm on college rosters. I'm going to college games and talking to the coaches and saying, hey, if you got any guys that are staying local and need a place to play, here's my name, here's my number, etc., stuff like that. So like, I in a perfect world, that would have been the best scenario, right? I'm doing that stuff and he's coaching on the field, because he was great on the field, not necessarily coaching in terms of like his knowledge of the game, which he did, but like, it was the way he managed people. Like, he was very good at talking to people and getting through to people with hard heads and stuff like that. Like, he just talked to people good, in a good way, in my perspective. And so like, that would have been the perfect blend. But once he kind of wasn't willing to do it and couldn't be fully committed anymore, I ultimately got stuck with it. But then luckily Paul came around. He was able to help with cable, and he came to some other games when I went on vacation, was able to help with like the ICL team and stuff like that. But yeah, if I can't find people to help me coach the teams, that's kind of when it will officially end. But beyond that, like, as long as I can keep getting players who I trust and respect, and can keep putting funds together to pay for everything, even though that's getting harder, because hell, umpire fees just went up to $110 this year.
Not in the BMBL, but
yeah, well, in ICL, and trust me, the other leagues are on their way, because all these leagues are going up, so they're going to have to. So like, it's just getting more and more expensive. Baseballs are going up. I mean, when I first started, they were like $60, $65 a dozen. Now we're paying over $80 a dozen, and they're probably going to go up now because of the tariffs again.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably going to go up again.
Thank you, Trump.
Yeah. So like, things are just, permits are harder to come by. They're not, a lot of these towns aren't giving permits out to men's league as much as they used to, unless they're a long-time user. So it's hard to get permits a little bit more so nowadays. So it's just, there's a lot of moving pieces, and if that starts to get harder and makes my life harder, then that's probably when it's probably gonna have to be call it quits, because like I said, I'm busy at home with 3 young kids who are starting to get into sports themselves. So like, I'm not going to have time to play all these mind games with all these other things. So if that starts to be an issue, that's probably when I'll step away. Until then, if I can find people to help me manage and players want to play for me, then then I'll keep putting a product out there and trying to compete. So whenever that day comes, I don't know, but right now it's a year to year.
Brandon, why do you do what you do? What gets you going? Like, I know why I do what I do. Like why do you? Because it's a thankless job. It takes a lot of your time.
It is.
You have a family. You have a lot of haters. And it's like what keeps you going? What motivates you? Because once the season ends, people don't understand. Once the season ends, that's when your season starts. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So like it's a 12 months a year job. Like
It
what
is.
keeps you doing what you're doing? What motivates you?
Uh, Sometimes I ask myself that same question. Why do I keep doing this? When I'm stressing out over like what player recruitment or money and or wet fields, whatever all those things that we go through as owners slash coaches, whatever you want to call us. Sometimes I ask myself like, why do I bother keep doing this? I'm not playing anymore. Like, but then I think about the connections I've made with guys that are on my team. I think about the long tenured guys that are on my team who I'm like, if I fold up shop, sure, technically, will they go find somewhere else to play? I'm sure they will, but I find a sense of like those are my guys. I recruited them. I've been with them for a while, and we've done a lot of winning together. Like I don't want to see them go off and win with somebody else. You know what I mean? So um, I think that first and foremost, that is the connections I make with a lot of guys and the friendships I have is like it's hard to walk away from that because once I walk away from that, honestly, that's like I said, that's where all my most of my good friends are. Are from baseball, and like if we don't have baseball to talk about in terms of like preparing for a season or whatever, like and if some of that goes away, like that would be kind of disappointing. And again, I'll have my family, whatever. It's I have a life, but I'll miss that connection on the ball field with guys and stuff like that. So I think that's first and foremost, and then after that, it's just the competition. I enjoy constructing a team to beat the best of the best, right? So when we came into the ICL, our number one objective was take down the Blue Sox. They had won, 6, 7, 8 years in a row at the time that we joined, whatever it was at that time, and our objective was to beat them. And that drove us all off season and all regular season as we were going through it. We made it to the finals against them, and we lost. And what fueled us to go into that next year to keep us going was that we lost, and now we know what it takes. We saw it. We played against them in the finals. We knew what it was going to take, and we just had to build that team and stuff to get to that point. And we did. We built the team the next year, came back even stronger, learned our lessons, learned where we had to improve, and we beat them. And we knocked them off. We were the first team to beat them, and like I said, I think it was about 8. They had an 8-year run, so that was the 9th year, and we beat them. We stopped them from winning their 9th in a row. So like at that point, then again, winning takes over, competition takes over. And it's like, well, now let's go win 2 in a row. Let's try to be that team to start a streak and put it together. So I think I'm always finding something via competition um, to keep me going at that point. So I think, like I said, it's the connections that starts me off, and then after that, the competition takes over, and I just want to win. You know, every year at Christmas time, my family does like these Christmas games, and I'm not allowed to participate anymore because I'm too competitive, and I get too angry if I can't, if I can't win, if I'm not doing good enough because it's not something I'm skilled at, or if it's a
Fuck the
trivia
ginger
game.
house. Fuck that ginger house. Mine's is better.
Yeah, that's exactly how I am. We're around like my wife's family and stuff like that, and she's like, "You can't be doing that," and I'm like, "Then I can't
He
play."
he
Right?
destroyed the ginger house. Fuck that shit. Mine's is
Yeah.
better.
So that's just how competitive I am. Even in board games, playing cards and stuff like that. I don't like to lose. I'm out to win. Even when I'm playing my kids, I don't screw that. I'm going to teach them when they're
Where do you
young.
think that comes from?
Like,
That competitive fire.
I don't know. I mean, my dad was the same way. I grew up with my dad. I mean, my parents divorced when I was young, and it was just me and my dad since I was like 8 years old. Um, and he had that same type of um, energy about him where, he liked to win, he liked to compete, he worked his ass off. Like, he didn't matter again whether it was on a field, college, high school, pro, like, board game, didn't matter. Like, he liked to compete as well and be the best at whatever he was doing. And I think just me being around him, and we were Yankee fans, so I watched a lot of winning growing up as a Yankee fan and watching them win a lot. And so I think it was just instilled in me at a young age about enjoying winning and liking that celebration, and anything else is just a letdown. I live by that stupid motto. I don't even remember now at this point who ever came up with it, but it's, there's first place and then there's everybody else.
Yeah,
Then,
yeah.
there is no second place in my mind. It's, you're either the best or you're not. Like, and that's just how it is. You're the same as everybody else, whether you lost in the finals, lost in the first round, lost in the regular season. If you're not the champion at the end of it, then you didn't meet your goal. And that's just how I've always kind of looked at it. So
So you mentioned that you don't play anymore, but you did get a chance to make a debut a couple years ago at the 100 inning charity game where you took the
yeah,
mound in about what 30-degree weather,
that was colder than that, dude. It was freezing.
20. It was cold,
It
but
was probably mid 20s.
yeah,
Yeah, it was because it was like 2 a.m. So
yeah,
it was November or whatever, October, November, and at 2 a.m. On an already cold day, and then at night, obviously, it gets even colder. So it was frigid. But yeah,
but yet
that
you
was
decided to go and
yeah.
pitch
Thank you,
shirtless.
thank you for
I
sharing
mean, you
that
knew
great
this picture
photo.
was going to make an appearance, of course.
Yeah, unfortunately, I knew you were going to do it. Yeah, I mean, that was one of those situations where I went out there. I wasn't really thinking, right? So I had long sleeve. I had a white long sleeve on, like a thermal thing to keep me warm. Um, and then I had my jersey, and I got out there and was throwing. I wasn't thinking anybody was really going to say anything, right? And of course, Steve Lippy goes and complains to the umpire that I
Oh
have
my.
my white Under Armour on, and makes me
In a
and the
charity
umpire
game?
yeah,
That's
that's
so
right.
lippy. That's such a
So the
lippy thing to
umpire
do.
comes out and was like, "Hey, like, you got that on?" I'm like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "All right, whatever." So I take my jersey off, and I take my Under Armour off, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go without my shirt on, right? And I start to throw a couple warm up pitches to finish, and the umpire comes back out. He's like, I don't think you can throw without a shirt on.
And you're
And
also
I'm like,
pretty white here. One could argue that that's
yeah.
too much white. And
And I'm like, are
the
you?
umpire behind you is just like disgusted. Looks like
And I'm
he's
like,
just
"Are
like,
you
what?
serious?" I was like, "So you're literally going to tell me like I can't even pitch with? So you tell me I can't pitch with the white shirt that's keeping me warm, and now like I got nothing on, and you tell me I can't pitch with nothing on?" And he's like, I don't know." And so whatever. So they ended up letting me go and let me do it, and so I ended up throwing. I don't remember if I threw a couple innings like that or what I did, but um, yeah, threw a couple innings, and like 2 a.m. in like the 25-30 degree weather. Um, yeah, it was great. Whatever, what I mean. Again, that was me proving my point, right? Being a dick about something. Like, you took it a little too far. It's a charity game. Like, I hadn't even thrown a real pitch yet, and you're complaining about my Under Armour.
It's such a
I
Steve
was
Lippy
kind of
thing to
like,
do.
really? I was
You
like,
couldn't have.
okay, so now I'm going to take it to the next level,
Well,
and I'll pitch shirtless.
I know Angie's watching. She's the manager of that team. I mean, that's such a Lippy thing to do, so I'm not surprised. But
Yeah,
one could
yeah. So
argue
yeah,
that
I did that.
your
That
skin
was
was
an
a little
experience.
whiter than the shirt, though, because
I think that,
being
honestly, at that point in October, my body might have been whiter than the actual my shirt. So like, I don't think they really gained anything by that. So
Angie says it was the umps that told him you couldn't pitch with the white
no,
sleeve.
I know for a
Maybe
fact it
Lip.
was Lippy because he was
Yeah, I
laughing at
mean,
me.
I believe it. I believe it.
He
That's a
told me
Lippy
I know
thing to
Lippy
do.
pretty well. Like, so
Yeah,
we talked
yeah,
about it even after the game. So
yeah. That's a
yeah,
Lippy.
it is what it is. What it is. But yeah, it was a funny experience, and unfortunately, I got on social media with with Rudy and all that. So
Oh yeah.
it's funny.
And now it's on the podcast.
Yeah. So,
Omar, did you
so
have?
Omar, actually, I'm curious. I know we talked in the past and stuff like that before when, you were talking about always being the bigger person, right? And trying to kiss feet and be on the good side of things and don't ruffle feathers. When you were going through early on with your league stuff, and then everything hit the fan, and whatever happened there, I don't even know what the backstory is with all that shit. But and now, like, Rudy hates you and has it out for you, and I always see you going back at him guns blazing, and I'm
Not really.
curious. I don't know. I mean, that's
Well,
fine.
let him finish. Make your point.
We have a different thing, but so I mean, what makes the difference? Like, because I feel like the things that you go back at him with are same things that, like, I've gone back at other people for, that people don't like me for. You both talk bad about each other, not bad about each other, but you both say shit about each other. It gets around, right? Like you said, things get around. You hear things. I hear a lot of things on both sides. I hear a lot of
What
things.
have you heard? Because I've heard a lot.
All the bad beef,
Yeah,
Trust me.
I'm
I'm
not
asking you. You're asking a question. What have you heard?
Again, I hear side. Not again. This is not coming from Rudy. This is coming from people who, on that side, have always thought, right, that the reason it went to shit was because they said you were stealing the BMBL's players off of the waiver wire and charging them money and taking their money, or like stuff like that. And that's kind of how that all started. And then they kicked you out as commissioner, and then obviously they kick you out of the league, and different things like that. And ever since then, there's always things coming up that
at the
your
end of the
coaches
day,
are trying to take players from the BMBL waiver
Yeah.
wire and things like that. So
I actually had a contract with the BMBL that allowed me to start my own league, and
And I'll
that can
defend.
test
I'll
to
defend
it.
him as a BMBL board member. Yes.
And I did not get kicked out as a commissioner. I stepped down.
well,
So
they were
let's
going to
take the
kick you out,
facts. No,
supposedly.
there wasn't. Stop it. No, there wasn't. No, there wasn't. Stop it.
Again, but that's
down.
what I'm talking about, the talking, right?
No, it's so
Back and
good.
forth.
It's so good. I stepped down because they wanted to take my league. They allowed me to grow something, and then they wanted to take it from me. And I said no. Because I built relationships. I built the entity that's going to be here when I'm gone. And I'm not going to give it to someone just because they want it. They're not going to use me. And what I charged people was for fucking cage time. Yeah. You got to pay the fucking red cages. They want me to come out of my pocket? No. You know what I'm saying? We can get real deep, but that's another conversation.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what they say about me, believe it. You know why? Because it's none of my business. You know why? I move righteous, and I know what I'm doing the right thing. So
Right.
whoever, and when you're doing good things, you're going to have haters. Brett Rudy will never have the balls to have a conversation with me as a man. All he's doing is out of jealousy and spite. Because he wants his face on everything. And I'm the only one that's ever challenged him. And everyone in the BMBL, shame on all of you guys. Because you bow down to that man, because he does everything for you, so you don't have to do nothing. You guys have a president that doesn't show his face.
It only took 18 episodes to finally get it all out.
That's always on vacation.
Branden, where
That
did you
is
start?
the difference.
Where did you start?
I'm glad he brought it up, because the truth got to be told.
No,
you got a jealous, angry old white man that doesn't get laid, and all he does is fucking worried about this Latino.
No,
that is making a difference in baseball, dog.
Yeah, and I
gotta celebrate that. You gotta celebrate that. You can't hate on that.
No, and I respect that, but kind of what my point was going is, as soon as someone tried to challenge something that you worked hard on and that you put time and effort into, you challenged it back. You maybe not every time, but like you've gone back at him.
Trust
you've gone
me,
back at
nah. As much as bro, let me tell you this. I went to a restaurant to buy my family food, and I had my clutch hitting hat on, and the gentleman next to me, what is that? I like the logo. And I'm like, yo, it's a league that I created, this and that. He wanted to play in my league, and then I told him the price. He goes, can you find him maybe something cheaper? I'm like, you know what? Contact the BMBL where I used to play. Maybe you can get a better deal. But I know I used to pay $6,500 per team to have permits, fields, and their fees. Our fees are way cheaper. And you know what the first thing Brett Rudy did? Oh, don't deal with Omar. Mind you, I'm referring them business.
Yeah.
I'm sending them teams. I don't take it personal. What I take it personal is when it gets personal. When you start saying that I'm stealing money, that I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and all I do is give back, that's when I take it personal. You know what I'm saying? Because when you live righteous, you don't got to worry about nobody else. But at the end of the day, if I pick to fight every battle, bro, I'll be insane right now. I get thrown so many battles that I pick and choose. You know why I get personal with Rudy? Because I used to look up to Rudy. I
I mean,
used
they
to
were on
admire
they were on the
Rudy.
same team.
He
Like,
was on my team. I
they
used to
won a
bring him
championship
everywhere.
together.
And you know what he said? You keep your enemies close. So everywhere I was taking him, he was just investigating me. Like he would tell people how I recruit. I was the only one before I did clutch hitting that used to work that player pool list. No one ever even cared about it. No one still cares about it, but him. And I can send you a contract that they gave me and allowed me to fucking use the player pool. But the problem was they were trying to let me grow something so they could take it from me. And they're not gonna do that. I put money behind this dog.
Again, like I said, I've never heard anything. I've never really, except for right now, I've never heard anything straight from your mouth, and I've never heard anything straight from his mouth. This is just obviously Boston baseball. Everybody kind of talks and whispers and
Been
this
trying
and
to
that.
get him to come on the show, but
And these are the things that
Yeah.
I've heard, and I've heard your case just like you kind
You're
of
gonna
said
you're
now.
gonna
Like,
keep you're gonna keep hearing stuff, bro. And at the end of the day, my
right,
people's knows what it is. Bro, I have over 400 players. Like they know how much I care about them. They know what I give to this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. No,
but you have
and
other people. You have because now I'm starting to deal with McKay. Because now it's starting to hurt other markets. So instead of, you know what, find out what this man's doing. Maybe we could collaborate with him. Maybe we can, because I don't know it all. I'm learning out as I go, but I'm learning from what their mistakes are, and we're not trying to make those mistakes. You know, I can tell you this: the BMBL accepted the Marlins. Okay, they accepted the Marlins after the Marlins got into a rumble, and every game they played in, they almost wanted to fight and made a scene everywhere they went. But then the D-backs hit them up, and they don't even respond to the fucking email. So you picking and choosing. You know why? Because the D-backs is ran out of Latinos. And I'm going to be real. It's a lot of racist shit that goes on in that league. And I was the only Latino to ever be commissioner in that league. And I was treated like shit. From day one, I was treated like shit. I worked harder than every single person on that board, and Dan can attest to it because he saw it.
yeah,
And I was taken advantage of. And I said no more.
No, I feel you, but that's my point to me too. Is like people talk about me. I'm not going to back down from it. So maybe you back down from it a few more times than I do, but I don't. I'm going to stand up for myself. And at the end of the day, people who know me, again, I have players on my team that have played for me for years and years. They come back every year. If I was such a bad guy, why would they still play for me? You know what I mean? They could go somewhere else. There's plenty of other teams, good teams that they could go play for that they're close for, but they still play for me. So obviously I can't be that bad of a guy. Otherwise they'd be somewhere else. So that's the only thing I care about. So I do the same thing. I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to talk because people are going to talk bad about my team or talk bad about me or whatever. I'm not going to put up with it. Just like you're not going to put up with someone talking about your league directly, one person trying to, shame it and make it for something to be that it's not. And that's kind of how I am. But at the end of the day, you have your people, right? I got my people. And as long as those people understand and respect you and know you and admire you and want to be around you on a ball field or off, that's all you can ask for. And so at the end of the day, I know I have my people and I, that they respect me. And while maybe they think I can be a dick or an asshole sometimes, they know who I really am as a person. And that's the difference maker, right? And same a bunch around you that at the end of the day, as long as they give you the respect and they don't think that way of you, then you're good, right? Ultimately you don't really care what someone else says, with exception of like if it's truly affecting your business, like if someone's mouthing you to other leagues or something like that, then
Oh, they've tried everything, bro.
I mean,
they've tried everything and anything.
Yeah, I mean, imagine my situation. I mean, I'm technically I'm on the BMBL board, right? They kicked
I can't
Omar.
believe you still are, Dan. I'm surprised they didn't kick you off then.
Well, they're not.
Bro,
we're
being honest. They wanted him to kick me out my own show.
Yeah, they're not happy that I'm on the podcast. I mean, I think the whole thing was just absurd. Like,
it's childish, man.
And I never
at the end of the day. At the end of the day, this is what I don't get. This is what I don't get about amateur baseball, like in Boston, particularly. I can't speak obviously in other markets, but especially nowadays where it's dying a little bit, right? It's not like as strong as what it used to be. Is like instead of fighting each other, like we should be working together to create the best thing
That's
around,
why
like
we started
for
this
everybody.
podcast. I
You know
mean,
what I mean? Like there's no reason for, oh, ICL's the best, screw every other league, or oh, this league's the best, screw every other league. While I do think there's better leagues technically, but at the end of the day, we should all be coming together to build a stronger one league or multi-tiered league, right? Together where we're all under the same guidance and leadership and rules, and we got all the same umpire. Like there should be one unit, like
There's too
because
many egos, man. Too many
I
I
mean
know,
that
egos.
was
but that's the
that was
thing.
the
There's
basis
too
for
many
this.
people that ICL. Oh, we have a 50-year, 60-year tradition, and this is how we've always done it. In Yaki League, oh, these are the rules we've always had, and like we're never going to change anything, and et cetera, et cetera. Every league's like that, right? They all have the same mindset. And while I will say I think the ICL is the best out of all of them in terms of adaptability, like they have been more lenient in things and more go with the flow in some things than other leagues, but they all have their things, and they've all been run by the same people for a long time,
But
and
why
they do
aren't they
things their
growing?
way.
Why aren't they growing?
Well,
They're not changing.
again,
They're not
I
adapting.
They're not
and I
adapting. And that's
well,
all over
they're
the
not
country,
adapting,
Brandon.
but they're
It's
they're
all over
not
the country.
trying to grow really either. Like they're all
Or they
Why
older,
don't know
isn't
and
how. Or
they
they don't know
know
how.
the people they know, so they
Right.
don't really have, like, they don't go out of their way to make other connections, like with like younger people, to get people to come into their league. They only go by essentially word of mouth. So
Yeah.
like when they get players or other teams, it's all by word of mouth of like, oh yeah, that league's really good, go play there. But aside from that, they don't really go out and like try to actually grow the league. And they admit that, and like they'll say it, but they're okay with that, I guess. I mean, obviously, because that it is what it is. um
they're okay with it
the
until they start losing teams?
Well, and they have
Yeah.
been losing teams. I mean, they're down. I mean, they used to be one of the the healthiest of leagues. I mean, they
Yeah.
had 12,
Yeah.
13 teams at 1.2, just like Yaki League had 16. And now Yaki League's down to 5, and we're down to 6.
And now funding is
Or
being
seven,
is a
seven,
huge
seven.
issue.
Um,
They're not getting the funding, the
Park
same
League's
funding
down to
that they are.
7. I mean, all these leagues had a ton of teams, and now they're down. And again, I don't think it's even adaptive. It's adaptability ultimately, but it's the leadership. Like none of these leagues are looking for the next man to grow the league for them, right? Like they should all be looking for someone in their like mid-20s who want to run a league, who has younger connections to kind of bring in that next tier. They all just want to stay in power, stay in charge, and do it until they can't. And unfortunately, that's hurting a lot of these leagues because they're not able to get those teams anymore. Omar, you're probably 20 years younger than most of the guys that are running these other leagues. So even though maybe you don't consider yourself young, you're not old either. So you're kind of that middle ground where you have a lot of different connections, and you're trying to grow it, and you're reaching out to other people who are younger or involved in the game in different ways around. So you're making those connections. Where
Wow.
these people, they're all in their mid 60s, and they prepare for the season, and that's it. They don't
Yeah.
try to grow.
I think a perfect example of that is the North Shore Baseball League. We had Nick Talamelli on episode 2 or 3, younger than both of us, and that league is thriving. Is there a correlation there? I think so.
I think
But
there's
think,
definitely
but
part
think
of it.
about this. I'm glad you brought that up with him, because when I was reaching out to all these leagues last year to do an All-Star game, they all turned me down. Nope, you ain't ready. Nope. Nick answered the phone and said, "Absolutely, let's do it." Granted, we beat them, but we're always being debt to them, because that shows what kind of a leader he is. He's gonna take chances. Um, One of our first shows, we were talking to, forget, one of these presidents or commissioners, and I'm like, "Why don't we bring back the East Mass Classic?" And they're like, every time we had like the Yawkey League, the Park League, all these guys come on, I would bring it up. So I'm like, you know what? We're gonna help. This show is gonna help spearhead it. So I hit up Dave. Dave, let's bring back the EMS Classic. Oh wait, that is my tournament. I created that tournament. I did this. I suggest that you let me handle it. But
Yeah.
then we could do it together, right? That's what he said. We could do it together, bro. I get a message in February. It says, "Oh, we're now bringing in new teams, new leagues." I'm like, "Yo, bro, I was the one that spearheaded this shit. If I wanted Fuck the EMAS Classic. We do our own shit. It's 2025, ladies and gentlemen. This is a new era. Stop
Like,
thinking this shit is 1990s.
I
And
agree.
and this is why Nick is successful. This is why we're being successful, because we're adapting to the new times. These guys, and it's not just happening in Boston, so there's not a shot to no one. I do a lot of tournaments around the United States of America, at least 5 or 6 every year, and I network. I meet people, and I say, how's your league going? Oh, yeah, there's a 60-year-old that's running this league, a 75-year-old that's running this league, and
Yeah.
they all have 4 teams because they're not adapting to the times. Baseball is not dead. It just has the wrong leadership.
Well, I mean, that's true. That's true. But I mean, again, I think it is tough because on the flip side of that, there's a bunch of 60-year-olds run it because they have the time. They're free. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have anything else, where younger generation, especially nowadays, they probably don't want to run a baseball league, especially dealing with all the bullshit that you have to deal with players, cussing out umpires.
I disagree.
Like,
The Yawkey has a great leader up and coming in Cam. They should give that man the realm. And you know what, Cam? Do what you want. He has preseason schedules. You know what I mean?
Not enough people are using social media to their power, which is crazy to me.
And they don't want to learn. Like, yo, adapt to the times, because these leagues are better when the Park League is good, when the Yawkey League is good, the Intercity League is good. You know why? Because that makes everyone else step up. That makes us all step up. That's going to make Brandon want to get better teams. That's going to make me want to get better teams. Somerville, the Chiefs, the Lexington Blue Sox, the Owen Clarks of the world, all these good teams are going to get better when these leagues get better. But these guys don't want to put the work in, and when someone comes up with ideas, they want to shut it down, instead of trying something. I told McKay, hey, let's do a championship tournament. Every championship, from the Yawkey, from the Park, CHBL, Intercity, and let's have a tournament.
Yeah, I pitched that this year to
They don't
ICL.
No one wants to do it, bro. Oh, we don't got time. Fuck out of here, bro. We got time.
I mean, people are surprised that they did the interleague play.
Yeah, that was a miracle.
And supposedly that was Cam's idea.
I've been saying that for years. Yeah, I wouldn't go. I mean, I love Cam. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, maybe he got the Yawkey League to want to do it.
That's what I'm saying, with the Yawkey League, yeah.
Yeah, with the Yawkey League, yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, but all these guys didn't really want to do it until they were forced to, and they started to see the real decline in teams, and they're like, oh crap, okay, maybe we should try it, and we tried it, and it had its flaws, but there was a lot of good to it, and then again, there's been a lot of drama in the offseason trying to figure out moving forward for this year and getting it in place and doing it again, and each league has their oh, well, we like this, but we didn't like that, and they want to change it, and the other leagues are like, well, why do you want what does that matter? And they have their things that they didn't like, and so it's just a bickering back and forth of oh, well, we didn't like this, so let's do it this way. And well, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it this way, and nobody wants to just come together and just say, this is how it should be done. Let's stick together. Let's make it work with each other, and let's have a better product, right? Who can't people are too caught up in the names of their leagues. I'm sorry. I
power
get it.
and the name. Yes.
You have a history, but at the end of the day,
no one cares about your history, bro.
Nobody cares about the Yawkey League their history.
On,
nobody really.
This generation don't give a shit, bro.
Yeah, in 40 years, probably sooner, but I'm just throwing out 40. In 40 years, if the Yawkey League is gone, nobody's going to care about 40, 50 years ago what happened. At the end of the day, let's live in the now. Let's live in the present. Let's have a better product. Let's do things better.
Brandon, it should be about the player experience. That's where it starts and that's where it ends. Give the players the best experience they can have, no matter what it is. And I must challenge you guys. CHBL versus BMBL. What's up?
Let's do it.
28s or 18s or
whatever you want. Bring all of them. Bring all of them. You can. You can do 18s, 28s, 38s, and you can pick one team. And we can put.
I want to ump. Brandon, we can ump.
You know what? And you know what? We can put money on it too.
Yeah, you got to bet that with Rudy. I don't have that much stake in the BMBL.
We're
in the 28s.
These young guys.
I am, but I don't have that
Let's
much
do it.
stake. I mean, it's only my second year.
It's good for it's good for
I ain't putting
baseball.
money on it.
It's good for I'm kidding about the money, man.
No, I know. I
No,
know.
but it's good for baseball. It's competition. The games is gonna be intense. We go rent out the fucking Spinners Field and just make it happen. But these people are scared to take these chances. Oh, my league, this league. Fuck that. It's about the player experience. This is why I do it. You know what I'm saying? Like my players, the experience is what matters to me. I
Yeah.
don't care about having the best league. As long as my guys are happy, I don't give a shit if we're the weakest league in the fucking world. But my guys are happy. That's what matters to me. And that's what these people need to start thinking.
Yeah,
Like, we should make that all-star game. Let's go. Bring Nick Powers. Bring all you guys.
Well, that's
Let's go.
the thing. Well, like what you caught, what caught my attention when you just said, I do agree with the aspect of it all together, is with the player experience, is that we're competing against the NECBL, the FCBL, the Cape Cod League. There's another new collegiate league that just started in this area this year. It's their first year. I think they got like 4 or 5 teams. They obviously, while I don't think they're anything special in terms of, I think we could compete with them, to an extent, right? Any of our leagues on a given day. But I think because they play on the really nice fields, right? They play in stadium type fields, and they have all these social media, and on a given day, but really nice type fields, these social, and and weekly awards, monthly awards, highlight. It makes play feel like those leagues are that much better when they're really not competition wise. They're just getting more exposure and more attention to it. Feel like, oh, I got to go play there because that's the cool place to be, and I'm gonna get my name out there. And people, when at the end of the day, that's not true in terms of competition, but it is in terms of getting their name out there and stuff like that. And if some of these leagues focused on that a little bit more, I think you're right. I think it could bring a better experience for all of our players, return more teams, because players who might want to stay home and stay local and play in our leagues a little bit more rather than going to these other leagues, because they're getting the same competition and they're getting the same player experience as well.
I don't know, Dan. Make the game happen. Make the game happen.
Let's
The people want it.
That'd
I
be
know
awesome.
we want it.
That'd be
I know
awesome.
we want the smoke.
I mean,
I don't know if you
don't
guys want the smoke though.
I don't want to speak for him enough, but based off of what I'm hearing from everybody and how you guys hate each other, I don't think Rudy would ever agree to it, because he wouldn't want to give you guys the exposure of of doing it.
Yeah.
Listen,
so,
listen.
Which is unfortunate.
No, listen. We will be giving you guys exposure, and that's real talk. You guys, come on, man. Your promotions and your marketing is nowhere near what we do.
We don't really have it.
You guys don't do none of that. You guys are complacent, and I've been saying that for years when I was commissioner. We need to step it up. We need to do this, and no one wanted to hear me. No one wanted to hear me out. You know what I mean? So let's get a game going.
I agree. There's a lot of leagues that don't use social media to their advantage. It's crazy to me.
Let's get a game going. That's what I'm saying. You know what? Bypass Brett Rudy. Talk to Jeff Cub. Jeff, let's get it happen. Let's get it popping.
I don't even know who that guy is, other than
exactly. Thank you.
I mean, obviously, it's only my second year in the league, but I mean, I've been around, and I mean, I know the name. I know he's the president, but like aside from that, like I don't know who. I've never met him in person. I've never, I've never been at a league meeting or something. So I don't know really who he is or what he's about or whatever. I just know the name.
He's quick to send emails, though. He sends emails in a heartbeat.
Branden, I'm so glad you brought. In a way, I'm glad you brought it up, because I think it was 18 episodes in the making. I would love to have Brett on. It would be great for ratings, for one, but for them to just. I've been stuck in the middle of that for the last 2 years, so.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I don't understand. Like, I know the peripheral of everything that happened, and I know, Omar, you just talked a little bit more about it, but like, I don't know enough about like every little detail that went on and why Brett thought the way he thought, and why you guys think the way you think about things. Like, but at the end of the day, it seems kind of silly. I mean,
It is.
regardless
I
of
mean,
who's right, who's wrong, it just
I don't think Brett's been exactly perfect in the whole thing. I don't think Omar's been exactly perfect in the whole thing. But the whole thing
They
is
mad
just
because I sent an email.
the whole thing is just it's ridiculous.
An email.
This is men's
yeah. I mean,
amateur
at
baseball.
the end of the day, like I said, this is just baseball. You know what I
It's just
mean? Like,
again, it should be about the player experience. Shouldn't be about me. It shouldn't be about Brett Rudy. Shouldn't be about you. It should be about the players. What can we bring? Because we're closer to the end than we are at the beginning of playing. You don't even play no more. You feel me? So it's about what experience can we give these guys, the next generation. You know, and that's what I do it for. I want to make sure these guys get a better experience than what I've entailed. I was criticized because I'm naming fucking trophies after fucking current players that have been
yeah,
studs for 2
that's
decades.
I don't know. I don't know the details behind that, but obviously I heard you talking a little bit earlier
Come
before the
on.
show about that. That's absurd to me. Even if someone's like, "Oh, there's someone better," why are you naming it after? It's like, what does it matter? This is who I think. You know, it's my league. I want to like. This is who I think represents that for me. Like, what the hell does it matter if you think someone else was the better pitcher in the Boston, like, you know, cycle or whatever, or better hitter? What the hell does it matter? Like, is it your league? Is it your trophy? Is it like what is your skin in the game that you care that much that someone else named an award after someone?
But people always have to find something to complain
Who,
about.
who was it? You said the
It
someone
was
of the
the guy from the
Braves?
Brave. Dan, you know who it is.
Yeah, I actually
What's
I
his
like
name?
Greeley. I like
Oh,
I play
James
with
Greeley.
James Greeley. Yeah,
He said that it wasn't earned. Basically, Yoki didn't earn it, bro. What?
But even if he didn't, it's your league. Like, what does it really matter? I mean, like, it
Yeah.
doesn't. You can name the award the Omar Ortiz award, like, you know, MVP award, like,
Cy
even like
Young, bro.
well, that would definitely not be
you know, whatever.
deserved.
Like,
I
it
want
doesn't really.
MVP, bitch.
You can name it after your mom. You know, I mean, hell, Dave McKay named the Yawkey award after his parents.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't play, like, and they didn't necessarily earn it. To him, they did because that was his parents, and they, you know, I'm sure they helped him in some capacity. But like, they didn't necessarily earn anything on the field to earn like the championship trophy to be named after them. So it doesn't really matter. It's your preference. It's your league. It's your
The Intercity
silly.
Championship trophy is named after the president of the
Yeah.
league. So
Yeah.
if I name our championship trophy after me, I'm wrong.
No, it's your league. You'll be able to do what the hell you freaking want. Like,
If you don't like it, go do your own shit.
yeah, that I found silly. That's one thing
Yeah,
I'm
like,
just like that makes you
That
can
just
name
shows
whatever hell you want.
the level of pettiness that we deal with that is unnecessary. Instead of be like, wow, this man thought outside the box and is giving flowers to players that are towards the end of their careers, and when they're gone, they got to leave some memory for the game they devoted all this time to. You feel me? And that's why I did it, because Darwin is one of the best players I've ever played against.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was still playing. That's
bro,
crazy.
I see him at all these tournaments, and he's still hitting bombs. He
can't
can
really
barely
run
make it to
anymore.
first,
Yeah.
but he's hitting bombs, bro. Like, I'd be like,
Who's he? Who does he play for locally? Anybody?
I think he stopped. I think he's more like going to like tournaments.
I see him everywhere though. He was playing like 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I don't really. I just obviously I know his name throughout the years and the, you know, stuff like that. I've always heard good things about him. You know, Yuki obviously I know a lot about and stuff like that.
Bro, to play 7-8 years when the Park League was the Park League, to have a .94 ERA, bro.
Yeah,
in 7 seasons, bro. Like, come on, that's impressive, bro.
No, I mean, he was playing back then with the best of, like, when the best was the best back then.
Of the best.
The Carlson Club and all them, like, they were filthy back then. The Cannon Club. It was
we know our history. So to me, because I know my history now, who best pitcher to ever pitch in Boston, who had one of the best careers, and he's one of them, hands down. He's one of them. Are there other guys? Yeah, salute. You know, but there can only be one.
Yeah,
and I picked who I like. He's a good dude. I like watching him play. He's a beast still. You know, he deserved it.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all opinion, right? Like,
all opinion.
You could say Yuki's the best or one of the best, but like someone else is going to be like, oh, well, he played during a time when it wasn't that good, and this guy played during a time when it was really good, but his numbers are just a little bit worse. Like, you know, so it's like everybody's going to have their. How are you going to unless you have like legitimate metrics that like from the pros that can come in and like do some metrics on you and like figure out who was the best of all time, like even then, like there's
I'm
still
sure
be
AI
look
could
at the
figure that
LeBron,
out.
look at the LeBron and Jordan debate, right? You know, you can come up with all the numbers you want, but then the people who watched MJ play back then are like, yeah, no, he's way better. Like I watched him play, it's just different compared to the LeBron guys. Are like, yeah, but now he's got every numbers and he's got that. Like, there's always going to be a difference in opinion, no matter who you say is the best. So I
Mm-hmm.
just think that's silly. Like, obviously, the two guys you named were good, and so at the end of the day, if that's what you chose, like, then it shouldn't really matter.
You
Like,
know, I'm just
who
thinking like
technically
the
might be
beginning
the
of this
best.
episode, the beginning of this episode should have put
They
everything
just
in.
text
And
me. Look,
what's that?
that's Julian, Sandy, and Yoki.
Or nice. But like at the beginning of this episode, obviously we brought up the fact that we lost, one of our baseball brothers. At the end of the day, we should all be getting along because you never know when it's your last. You never know when you're gonna play your last game. The whole arguing, all of it is stupid.
Yeah, it's
It's a waste
stupid,
of
man.
time,
We should all get
and
along, man.
that's why we started this podcast to bring these leagues and baseball people together. And
Yeah. Even when, like when you go to tournaments and I see you guys there, the card. I'm like, yo, it's so stupid to have three Boston teams playing in Florida. Like we should all be there together. Like we go together, ain't nobody beating us.
I
You know what I'm
know we have
saying?
we're all over like some of the guys, and then
It's stupid.
if we had one Boston-based team or whatever, like we would do some
I've
damage.
seen the competition. It's not like Boston. Boston got some competition. Out there is semi, unless you're playing against pros and shit like that, ex-pros. But for the
Yeah.
most part, guys like us, like college guys, we go out there with our team from Boston. Nobody's fucking with us in any of these
No, no. I
tournaments.
mean, I went and played against, from what everybody says, is one of the best teams around in those tournaments in the Florida World Series against the Tampa Guerreros or something. I don't know, something like that. They had Omar Infante and Frankie, what's his name, played for the Indians.
Yeah,
God,
we played against them.
like everybody was telling me they were the best of the best. Like they went, like they're either winning it or almost winning it every year, and they go to all these other tournaments. Like obviously, and like we went out, we lost 2-0. We battled them. Like we didn't have a great team, and we still battled. We were right there. We had a good pitcher that could compete with them.
Yeah.
We just didn't have the offense. Like, and I'm like, really? That's the best of the best? I was like, no offense, they're good, but like, I was expecting like Omar and Fonte, that they're gonna be hitting bombs off us left and right, and this and that. Like, and they weren't. We were right there, and if we just had a little bit better of a team, like we could have competed with them. Like, so
Yeah.
I definitely think it would be nice if there was a more of a Boston unity going to these tournaments, and just putting egos aside and just saying, hey, let's put the best team together and let's go out there and have some fun and do some damage and bring some light to the talent that we have around here. But
We should, and we're starting that. We're going to Myrtle Beach. I think the third or fourth week of September, and we're going as Team Boston. So if guys want to join, like I know gonna help put guys together. I don't know who else, but we're working on it. So
Myrtle's a good one. I
Myrtle's
heard.
a good one. There we go. The best tournament I've been
It's
to.
always been tough over the last few years since I got into the Cape League tournament. Was like they're back to back essentially.
Yeah.
They're like 2 weeks apart, so it was hard to do both. And obviously, doing a local tournament's a little bit easier to get guys committed. Especially like for an older crew. But yeah, Myrtle Beach has been on my radar. There's a couple teams that we've played against that go to that tourney, and I've always been intrigued to go down and experience it, but. Haven't been able. That's the other thing, right? Like trying to get like there's just not enough guys that like want to go do cool things like that would make it worth my time to like go out there. Like if I want to go out there, like I at least want to have a decent team, right? I don't want to go out there and get my ass kicked. That's not fun. So like if I don't have a decent team, like I don't want to spend that kind of money and time going out there and then just getting destroyed. Yes, the camaraderie is fun no matter what, and you have a good time. I get that, but I don't want to go out there and lose 15-2 and it's just not fun. So it's hard to get enough guys who are willing to pay their own way and who are good and can help you compete and are guys that you trust that won't bail on you or whatever. And so that's why I don't go to as many tournaments, is because I take my time with what I do go on and make sure I have the right people and can get the people. But I would love to go to Myrtle Beach and put a good team together and go to the Florida World Series again and have a loaded team and go out there and do some damage and show our name.
Hey, I'll extend the invitation. Let me know.
All right, I'll shoot you a text and see. I mean, I know you already got a good pool of players and stuff like that. So, I mean, see, if I'm able to even help you at that point. I mean,
Yeah, let me know. I mean, hey, the best of the best can go down there. We'll take over. Easy.
I love it. On that
Easy
note,
peasy.
this has definitely been our longest episode.
Sorry, yeah.
We got a lot out. It's good.
Nope. I appreciate it, guys. And, I know there was no ways I was going to be able to fill the shoes of last week's episode. So you guys kind of put me up against it. Doug Flutie
There was no crying. There was no crying this week. So
yeah.
No tears.
Not yet.
But I appreciate you guys even, allowing me to come on and just talk some baseball. It's always nice to talk baseball, especially local baseball that you're familiar with all the people and the teams and stuff. It's always good to talk. So I definitely appreciate you guys wanting me to come on, and it was good shooting the breeze. And I'm sure I'll check the thread comment later, and I'll probably see some comments when the people heard me calling them out or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see. I can already see I got some texts that I'm going to have to go through when I get off of here and see what I got.
Hopefully it's a text from Brett Rudy.
And probably Alabrandice.
Yeah, I saw a couple of Alabrandi's comments pop up on here, so I'm sure I might have something from somebody.
Love it. More drama.
More drama. All right, brother. Thank you for coming on,
brother.
Yeah,
thanks, Branden.
I appreciate it. Let's try to get and do things with baseball and stuff. The podcast. Let's action on the field.
Yes, sir. We'll talk.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
You too, brother. Good night.
Do we gotta stop calling people brothers?
Brother, what's
more
up, brother?
people gonna get offended because we call some. What's up, my brother?
I'm offended. I'm offended. I can't get this to work.
Hey, people, listen. People watching, take it easy, man. Like life is short. Let's get along. This is crazy.
I mean, the star of the show is no other way to show that life is short. But yet, people don't think about 100%. That until, they have to. But,
until it's too late. You know what I mean? Like, let me tell you this. Most of the time when you hate someone, you don't even know them.
I agree with that.
Get to know people before you have an opinion. I go by the route, like, I would never judge anyone until they do something to me. Like, if you have a bad reputation, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna be your friend. I'm gonna be your friend. Like, if you do something to me, I'm like, okay, I can't deal with you. But I'm not gonna deal with someone because someone else tells me about it. No, that's your business. That's your
why I'm doing this show with you.
You know me more than any of these Boston people now. And you wouldn't. If I was a bad person, you wouldn't be on this show. I talk to you every goddamn day.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it comes to, we all got to get to know each other. We all got to leave the egos at the door, and understand that at times, we're going to bump heads, and it's okay. It's okay. But at the end of the day, let's remember that this is a baseball community. We all know each other. We all should care about each other, because at the end of the day, this is what we have. You know what I'm saying? This league is what we have. This is what keeps us young. This is what keeps us out of trouble. This is what keeps us away from our day-to-day bullshit. So why you want to go to games and then have to deal with the bullshit too? Should never be that way.
So our next mission should be to start a reality show. We started the podcast, and now I think
that'll be good.
I've been saying it for years. I'm not even joking. I think it would be.
Man, if you have a camera that follows my day, you'll be like, what the hell? Bro, like, I just got threatened to get sued. And I'm like, you're suing me for what? Because all I told him was,
MLB
no. So, like a player, he wanted to sue me because I told him I'd call him tomorrow. I'm like, yo, it's Sunday, bro. Can I have a day off?
What?
He wanted a refund, and we don't, because this is the thing. Like, we all know these leagues are expensive. Like, what we do is, like Branden said, the bases are expensive, permits are expensive, umpires are expensive, insurance is going up, 400 hitter. Who knows what the fuck is gonna happen with that shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, everything goes up. You feel me? So when you say we got to pay league fees, you got to pay league fees. You know, like it costs money to play baseball, gentlemen. Like, ladies
And
and
what? Oh,
gentlemen,
so
because
he
Andy's
paid the
watching.
fees and now he can't play? Is that what happened?
No, he paid the fees. He got into an argument at practice with one of the managers,
Uh huh.
and he got sent to that team. Mind you, he already had problems last year with another team.
Uh huh.
So I'm like, I'm gonna give you a new set, a fresh start. Go to this new team, help them out since you've been in the league for a couple of years, you know. And he got into an argument the first outdoor practice. I said, listen, bro, I'm practicing with my daughter. My daughter's first time really hitting. She gets a foul tip, gets hit in the mouth, and I'm like, bro, I gotta call you back.
Oh shit.
I guess he wanted me to fucking say to my daughter, you wait, I gotta
Yeah.
talk to you.
Oh
You know what
damn.
I'm saying? And then he's like, yo, it's just crazy. Guys, this is baseball, man.
She okay?
Yeah, she's okay. She's a big girl. She's good. She's a big. I think she was more shocked than anything.
Yeah, of course.
You know, but at the end of the day, this is baseball, guys. Don't take it personal, man. Like, this is a kids game, but we still want to beat the BMBL's ass, though. So let me know. Let's
That'll
make
be-
let's make that happen. We gotta make that happen.
Yeah. Let's get Brett on the show first. We'll talk.
Nah, man. Actually, you know what? You know what? Get him on the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna show you that I'm a bigger man than him. Get him on the show.
I mean, he did mention it again. He texted me the picture of Brandon. He said, "Get rid of the sponsorship, and I'll be in."
Big Clutch is here to stay, baby. Big Clutch is here to stay, baby. Oh, I want to make an announcement. We have an All-Star game June 7th.
June 7th.
I call it the Spinner Stadium in Lowell. So we have it's going to be under the lights.
The Lasher.
You know, thank you, the Lacer in
The
Lowell.
Lacer, the
Thank you for Mark for getting us that permit.
Mark
has been great. You know, that's my guy. You know, we go to tournaments together. You know, and you know he wants to beat us too, but we still get along off the field. We do stuff together. We're trying to build a brotherhood. You know, give guys. We went to Puerto Rico. We went to Florida, and that's what this should be about. If you guys want to come along, let's go. You don't want to wear a Havoc jersey? It's okay. We beat Team Boston. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Let's all go together. Let's enjoy this ride together.
Amen.
You know, reality show's next.
Yep. So next week, Brett Rudy will be on. Be sure to tune in. No, we
Next
got
week, we got a special guest, Mr. Brett Rudy.
No, we got Chris Monroe. He's been a coach for 10 years. Currently assistant coach at Claflin University in South Carolina. He went to Framingham State, coached at Framingham, Worcester, and St. A's. And then after St. A's, he went to Claflin University. He also coaches in the Appalachian League in the summertime. So he asked to be on the show, and we agreed. So next week.
We agreed. Let's see what it is. You know, you never know. Never know who you're gonna connect with.
Know.
But I definitely want Brett Rudy to get on the show.
Gonna keep trying.
If hey, Mr. Rudy, if you see my face, get on the show.
I would just sit back, eat my popcorn, and let you guys go at it.
Yo, you know what's crazy? He wouldn't say half the shit he says to other people to me. I guarantee you, he won't. Like, yo, at the end of the day, listen, I still got love for Brett Rudy. I got nothing against him. He's my biggest hater. You know, he's my biggest hater, and that's fine. But I still got love for him. Anything happens to him, I would feel bad. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, this is baseball. This is never personal. He's taking it personal. You know, if I did anything wrong, I'm sorry.
I would love to see you guys hug it out on this show.
No, that's not happening.
Virtually.
That's not happening. I need an apology from him, though.
Well, good luck.
Because he's trying to ruin my reputation, and that's what I don't stand for. You know?
Uh-oh. There you are. I can't hear you anymore. What, did you lose audio again? Did your earpiece lose battery maybe? Or lose? I can't hear you. Maybe can't hear you. Guess we'll end the show on that. Again, guys, tune in next week, episode 19. And once again, our condolences to the Aquino family. Very sorry for your loss. Thank you guys so much for watching and commenting and CHPL. And we'll see you guys same time, same place next week. Poor Omar, he can't even talk. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.